lost them. All the times that I would waste away, calling out their names, but no one came. But I kept waiting, barely holding on. The world's been fading out. Other people pay the price to keep them in a vice. I see it day or night with just the cause. So you can't tell me what you are. I can see right through. No hiding those scars. I'm not waiting.
What's
All
up,
right.
everybody? What's going on?
Nothing much. I mean, look, this is going to be a very interesting little experiment we're going to do here, but I'm hoping this goes well. It's fun. It's something we all enjoy, and
Yep.
that I can continue doing these kinds of things because tonight we're really just going to like get into it on Batman and all that stuff. So one of the reasons like I started doing YouTube and all that is because I just wanted to like get some thoughts and stuff off my head, out of my head,
Oh yeah, yeah, man.
and
I
share
feel
some
you.
of the things I was thinking,
I
see
feel
how
you.
people responded to them. And
I
some
wanted
of
to
them
thank
were
you for
like,
having me on. I want to thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. So
yeah, no,
it's
it's
cool.
you're one of the people that I've been looking for an excuse to get on the channel here for a little while because I like talking with you and we seem to have a lot of similar interests, particularly with this one. So, oh, that just changed all the lighting in my room by doing that. Let's go to a, there we go. I'm so professional, as you can see. So, I guess you should introduce yourself.
Well, you may or may not know me. I am RG Energy, but my friends also know me as Roman. I am the host of the Roller Romecast. I also run three other channels. I run RG Energy, I run RG Energy 2.0, and then I also run I also run a political channel. So if you guys like me, you can feel free to go sub. I talk about nerdy stuff. I talk about things that I personally love, like Batman, Spider-Man, Halo, Star Wars, relevant news about gaming and comic books and all of that stuff. So if you guys want to go and give me a sub. If you don't want to, you don't have to. I'm grateful for the view, and I'm just glad to be here. And it's always fun. So yeah,
And
thank
if you're
you
here,
for having me
you
again.
know who I am if you're watching this, most likely.
I would
You're on
hope
my
that they would
channel.
know.
You're on my channel. Or maybe you're just someone who's randomly stumbled by and decided that you want to tune in. If that's the case, thank you. Yeah, that intro I put together in like an hour because I felt like I needed
That's
to
cool
do
though. It's a cool
something.
intro.
Yeah, the song I actually used for it. This is one thing I did want to bring up right at the beginning. It was written by a guy called Divide Music, and the song is actually about Batman. That's what he wrote the song about. So if you listen to the rest of the song, it's pretty good. You can look it up. It's called Reclaim. He has a YouTube channel, and I would have made it longer, but I don't generally like the idea of trying to like steal an entire song from someone. So you okay there? You look frozen up, or is that me?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
My for some reason my StreamYard keeps going like in and out, so I'm just going to try to work with it. But
mm-hmm.
yeah, no. So I was thinking, why don't we start with um how we got introduced to the character? Like, what was our first interactions with him? How do we get to see him for the very first time?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So
and
do you want to go
since it,
first, or do I?
um, I, I guess I'll go first. Sure.
Go for it
So
then.
let's see. When I was one, the first ever video game that I ever played was Batman: Rise of Sin Tzu. Now, literally like two people know what that game is, but It was basically the Batman the animated series Kevin Conroy um Batman, but he was fighting a brand new villain that has only ever been in that game. And it's pretty cool. It's like, a fighting beat 'em up game. And then the first Batman show that I ever watched was actually the Adam West show. Because when I was a kid, I found the animated series boring. So, like, when I was like a really, really young kid, I found it to be really boring. So, the so so the thing about the thing about it is that I actually grew up with the Adam West Batman before Kevin Conroy, even though Kevin Conroy is my favorite. So,
All right, fix that shit. Um, so you were introduced through the that Batman game. I don't know. It's kind of hard to pin down for me exactly when I was introduced to the character, but I can narrow it down to two places.
mhm,
Um, the DCAU, which, by the
mhm.
way, is it was so much better than like I would say it's way better than the MCU. It's way better than any live action movie
It
DC
was
has put
actually a
out there.
cinematic universe. It was actually a universe of
Mhm.
actual cohesive stories, you know?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that is the best one of the best renditions of Batman you can get outside of comics right there, the Kevin Conroy animated Batman. And there was also okay, are you familiar with like the later cartoon, The Batman?
Yep. Yeah,
There was a little like plug-in like joystick console game you could get for
I
that.
had that, yeah,
Yeah, I had
yeah,
that
yeah.
too, and I look, I didn't know
I
what I was
loved
doing with it, but I did know
uh
that if you played the Firefly missions, you got to play the sick ass boat mission where you're driving through
mhm.
like the channels in Gotham and like dodging mines and
I loved the intro. The Batman, like, oh,
mhm.
it it went hard. There's only one Batman show that I haven't liked, and it's probably Be Beware the Batman. I've really liked all of like the rest of them. So,
Hmm. I don't think I've heard of that one. I enjoyed the campiness of like the Brave and the Bold. I actually did watch those cartoons,
mhm,
like what as like a like or in like grade school and all that when they were coming out. I was obsessed with Cartoon
mhm.
Network, so the Brave and the Bold was cool. It was something I would watch alongside Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
They were like right
Um,
next to each other.
but
They were like right
I,
next to each
I I
other.
had
Yeah.
been introduced to Batman by those things, but I didn't really like love Batman until like years later when
Mhm.
my older cousin was like babysitting me and two of my other cousins. And she decided that instead of dealing with our spastic asses, she was going to sit us down in front of Batman Begins.
That's how you started,
Yep.
dude.
And
I mean,
look, for whatever like problems people want to point to in those movies, I love them. I have the whole Chris Nolan's collection and Blu-ray up on my shelf there. I loved the first two movies. Looking back at the third, it's kind of give or take. Like I could take it or leave it.
honestly, The Dark Knight Rises, even though I like it, I can admit that it's mid, but I think that's the best movie for like Bruce Wayne. I think out of like
Mhm,
all three of them, that's like where we get to see Bruce Wayne's journey. It's not really so much about
mhm.
Batman in that movie.
Well, more so because the character has become more Bruce Wayne after the events of The Dark Knight. Because like
Yeah,
Batman's been branded a criminal, he's kind of had to step away, so he doesn't have the mask. Bruce Wayne becomes less of the mask and more of the actual man,
yeah,
because that's who he has to play.
yeah. And the thing that I don't like about The Dark Knight Rises, though, is that Alfred leaves him. That's something that Alfred would like never ever do. So yeah, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I think to to your point though, that's an awesome way to get introduced to Batman. That was my first Batman movie too. Was actually uh
Mhm.
was it Begins or The Dark Knight? I think it was Begins. Yeah. Yeah. That
Uh,
was my first ever one.
you know what? Actually, before that, before if we're talking about my first Batman movie, it actually wasn't Batman Begins. It was
No.
Mask of the Phantasm. would have been the first one. And
Oh,
I
that's
love that
awesome.
movie. Like as a kid, I
That's
remember
awesome.
watching that, being like, "This is like, am I supposed to be watching this?" Because I was like the perfectionist rule follower kid in my family, like
Hmm.
the one that made my parents think that they were god tier parents because they had the perfect child. And I'm sitting there watching Mask of the Phantasm, and like like Batman's punching the Joker's teeth out, and like there's all this dark stuff going on. I'm like, am I supposed to be watching this?
Was
This
Phantasm
is
in
cool,
theaters?
but
I'm pretty sure that it was in theaters.
um,
Phantasm.
it might have been, but I watched it on TV.
Yeah.
So
You know what I saw in theaters that I have the regret because I'm a giant Batman fan? Yeah, you know what I saw in theaters? Killing Joke. And I I despise myself for going to see that movie in theaters.
the Killing Joke movie isn't that great? I haven't
You
watched it.
you you never watched it? Did you ever read the comic or no?
I have read the comic, yes.
You haven't heard what happens in that movie?
I have not actually.
Batman and Batgirl do it on a rooftop. I'm 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 not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Just thinking about it makes me go feral.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's a thing then, huh?
And they had Batman be played by Kevin Conroy and Joker was played by Mark Hamill. So
See, the thing is, when I read that comic, when the Joker's doing his whole thing, singing as he's like torturing Gordon, I had
uh
Mark Hamill's voice in my head the whole time, going loony. So yeah,
yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good Batman comic when I read it.
That's the
Um,
first one that I ever read, and I lied to my mom and said, well, not like lie, but like I tried to get her to buy it for me because like I told her that it wasn't like that. I told her that it wasn't like that bad, but she wouldn't buy it, so I just looked it up online and I just read it anyway. But yeah, so but
bad boy. No, I didn't get
but
into like comics or even reading until I was in like a big time for like fun until I was in college. And I started
interesting.
picking up manga, and then from there it was into Batman comics. It's like, see, like I had liked the character for a while at that point, and I picked up Death in the Family was the first Batman
Oh,
comic
that's
I
a great
read.
one. It's a
Then it was
good, great
Killing
one.
Joke, and recently I tried to get through year one here before the stream tonight, but I just with my work schedule I didn't have the time, unfortunately. I did, however, get to read The Long Halloween this week
Oh, it's a
because that's
great
been in my
story.
collection. Dude, that it look, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but like it had the exact same like vibes in the ending as Attack on Titan.
That is a great story. That is actually a
Yeah.
great story. Like, if you're gonna introduce someone to the complex character, that is a comic that I would recommend for them to read, is probably that one.
Yeah, that's look, as far as writing goes, just strictly judging it on the story it's telling, superb, fantastic. I also
Mhm.
really like the artwork for it. Um,
Yeah,
and it does one of the
it's
things
very
that
80s-esque,
like
yeah.
it does one of the things that I think like Batman comics should be focusing on, really like the crime detective sort of like street
Mhm.
level stuff. And we'll get into that later. And but I was reading the cover of The Long Halloween, and it has this whole like interview with Chris Nolan about how he took a lot of
Oh.
inspiration from that. And I'm sitting here like, okay, and I'm reading through it, and I'm seeing all of the things that like Chris Nolan like picked up from the comic, and like recognizing it from The
Mhm.
Dark Knight. I'm just like, oh, that's good. And honestly, I wish they would have just done a full on adaptation of that as a Batman movie, because that would have been
Well
cool.
well, there's a long Halloween animated movie, so go and pick that up, so, yeah.
I might have to do that.
But I think Have you ever read The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller? Did
Yeah,
you
I
read
have
that
the
one?
whole box set collection up on my top shelf somewhere over there.
I only like the first one.
You only like the first one. Look, I think the first two are better than the second two, mostly because the
Uh-huh.
second two, it kind of goes away from the stuff I like about Batman, the crime fighting and all of that.
Uh-huh.
Um, I don't think the second two are bad. I actually did enjoy them, but the first half of it is definitely better.
Yeah, I think just like the premise is cool, like a really old, like, Bruce Wayne, super like bitter, just like has nothing to live for. And then he sees that like the mutants are taking over, and then he's kind of like, you know what? Gotham needs me. And then he's, just like, but
Mhm,
I'm not gonna be nice though. And then he has like a giant tank that's his like car, and it's like really, really cool. And he literally he's gotta be in his like late 50s. Man is fighting a dude in his prime, and he has one of my favorite quotes that like Batman has ever said, where he says, "This is my operating table, and I'm the surgeon." That's still every time that I either read it or see the movie, I still get goosebumps. It's like really cool, but
yeah,
yeah,
I think as far as Batman quotes go, I still really like the one from, Batman the Animated Series where, like, Har the episode from where Harley Quinn gets out on good behavior, and she's, like, trying to live a normal life and then has one big misunderstanding that sends her back to Arkham, and Batman's all, like, nice to her in the end. He's like, "I had a bad day once." Or, "I had a bad day too
yeah.
once." And, like, that whole scene is, like, it's so good. It does a whole lot to,
I
like,
think that shows
capture what
who
the
like
character.
Batman really is, though. Too. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's what I was gonna say, is the DC animated universe had a really good, balance between, like, showing, the hard ass Batman who's, like, tough on everyone and, like, pragmatic and, will do what needs to be done, and also, like, the understanding, like, sympathetic, like, I know what it's like to, like, go through shit, to go through hell. Like,
mhm,
during the Justice League cartoons where he sits with Ace.
dude. Kevin Conroy's performance, especially in like that episode, dude, top
Mhm.
notch, top top notch.
I still
And
need to get my hands on those Justice League CDs so I can rewatch that series.
I have them, and I watch them once in a while. Perfection, perfection. But I think the thing about the Dark Knight Returns comic is that, not to veer too far off, but it may be not like Superman. For like the longest time, I didn't like him as a character, and then the Zack Snyder movies didn't really help me out either. But Superman in the DC AAU though is cool. That's how I always like saw him, is
Yeah, one of the
like
things I like about Superman in the DCAU, he's not just the brawn of the Justice League. He actually does show a lot of, like, smart moments. I
yeah.
rewatched the Superman the animated series because I have that on Blu-ray, and
Hmm.
dude, there's some good moments in there. But yeah, we were kind of on track with the Dark Knight Returns. Yeah, that part for Superman, like where he basically becomes a dog for like a Ronald Reagan stand-in there.
That's literally what that is. But yeah, yeah,
I know.
yeah.
Um, I know exactly what it is. Like I can read. I have eyes. I can see the way he talks. It's very much Ronald Reagan. Um,
But
I didn't like that rendition. I get, like, Superman has always been the one to be like, if people want me to do this, like, to be subservient to the
yeah,
government in order for them to trust me, I will do it because I understand just how terrifying the amount of power I wield is. But yeah, the Dark Knight Returns basically, like, pointed out just how uh silly the idea of Superman being beholden to a government was.
and I don't like when Batman and Superman are enemies. It's like really weird. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think it's okay. You can like you can like get away with it when they first meet, but like for them to know each other and then to fight, it's kind of stupid because like they're friends in most like, adaptations. So,
I think the movie is Justice League War, where it's like one of the newer DC animated movies.
yeah.
I think that one does that whole like interaction, like first meeting perfectly to where like Bruce and Clark are very standoffish towards each other. And like Bruce is just there to do his thing to like get to the bottom of the mystery, and Clark's obviously trying to do the same thing, but they have two different ideologies and they have very opposing views as to like uh what should be done. So like Superman does not like the idea of Batman operating in his city. And that's what sets that whole thing
Yeah.
off. But later, like after they all like get their like shit together, and they start working together, become friends, that kind of stuff. They come to understand each other.
So, yeah, and so just while we're on the conversation of comics, I wanted to tell you my favorite, and I want to know where you rank it because to me, Crimson Under the Red Hood is Batman perfection. Under the Red Hood might be the best story that I think the comics have like told.
I will have to reserve judgment on that until I have read it
Oh, you
because
haven't read it? Oh.
look, there are a lot of Batman comics that I want to read but don't have the money to purchase. And when it
Hmm.
comes to like comics particularly, I don't pirate. I actually like to own physical books. So
I own Under the Red Hood. Yeah. Yep. That's
like
like,
it's not something I
yeah.
will go read for free. It is definitely something I would rather just purchase for myself. Because it gives me an excuse to go to the comic shop and look through all their Batman stuff
Yep.
and their
Yeah.
manga.
Y yeah, hey. No, but, so just that's basically where, like, Jason Todd comes, back
I
to
know the
life
general
and all that
story of
stuff.
Under the
Yeah.
Red Hood, because I've seen plenty of clips and stuff from like the movies and all of that, and it's
The
made me
Arkham
want.
Knight game basically tried to do Under the Red Hood, but they didn't really do it right.
I'm
But
aware. I'm aware. And as much as I liked Arkham Knight, I will absolutely agree with everyone that the Bat Tank was fucking absolutely should not have happened. Like seriously, you just put that in there because you wanted a tank simulator.
well, no, so, like, the thing about that is that people were begging for years to be able to, like, play in the, like, Batmobile, but then, Rocksteady was like, "You want to play in the Batmobile? Here, you can, play in it for 70% of the story." Like
Hmm.
like, you don't get to do anything other than be in the car, and then you have to do stealth missions in the Batmobile. Stealth missions in a, 4 to 5 ton car, which is so stupid. But
Yeah, well, that was. Bro, look, it's what look that those games are so freaking great. I need to go back.
they are.
I don't have the original ones now, but I need to go back and play those. I need to go back through that whole thing and because the Arkhamverse. Well, you saw my rant about the Arkhamverse.
I think Arkham Origins gets heavily slept on, though. That's, like that might be, like, one of the better Batman games. I mean, there really haven't been, like, many. There was, Batman and Robin. There was, Batman Dark, Tomorrow or something, which I never played, but yeah.
Yeah, the
Um,
Batman games I've played were the little console joystick one that I talked about, and well, I guess does Injustice count? I played a little bit of that.
Injustice
Uh,
is crazy. See, that just the comic and, like, the whole, like, premise, that is a story where I can accept Batman and Superman being on the opposite side, because
mhm.
Superman was driven insane, and obviously Batman wouldn't be for that. So that is kind of a thing where I can like accept that Batman and Superman are like fighting each other. That's like one of those stories. I actually love that. Um, I played the I played the video game before I read the comic, and then there's also an animated movie, which sucks that Kevin Conroy died because they were actually going to get him to, be in that movie. Sucks. That sucks.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah. Um Injustice is fun though, but yeah.
And
Did you
the
ever play
Arkham games obviously is the last group of Batman games that I played.
did you play any of the new ones? Did you play like, Gotham Knights or no? Did you play
I
Gotham
did
Knights?
not touch Gotham Knights with a 10-foot pole. I saw that. I'm like, look, you get an A for the concept, but E for effort if you evaluate
I
the game as a whole.
I tried to play it and I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
I
I
can
really
imagine.
tried. Dude, Red Hood has like magic. That's how he's able to get around the city. It's so stupid. And then like Nightwing has literally a Fortnite glider. I'm like, not even kidding you. That's how he like gets around and all that stuff. It's just so stupid. But the Suicide Squad game, if any of you have not, bought it yet, I would recommend that you do not buy it.
No,
Just
no on the Suicide
because
Squad, okay? Please. I'm not even going to get
this
into the SBI stuff or any of that. The game was it was dog shit. It was a looter shooter with, look, I watched one guy
uh-huh.
do a review on it, and he was talking about how he played for like 4 hours and got through 80% of the game's story. 4 hours. It's not a
That's
whole lot of
crazy.
gaming in any like. So what are you supposed to do? Spend the rest of the time being a fucking the lame version of Harley Quinn or King Shark?
Man.
Look, a Suicide Squad, like the Suicide Squad, excuse me, as a concept,
I always thought the
okay,
concept was
maybe.
yeah,
But like
like
I've never really seen a whole lot of good delivery outside of comics. And the funniest thing is, and maybe I'll save that topic for later. That's something I can get into later. But
oh god.
I have some thoughts about the Suicide Squad that we can save until a little later in
Um
the stream.
so I wanted to ask you, did you ever play the Lego Batman games or no?
On the DS, I played Lego
On the
Batman for the
DS?
DS. Yes.
I had I had Lego Batman on the PS2. That was so fun.
Ooh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. There's like 5 of them and like I
Mhm.
only played the first 2. But but that's basically it in terms of like Batman games because I have not played the Suicide Squad game and I'm not going to. So
Bro, it demands that you be online. And I think the last time I checked is when I watched someone else's video covering the active
there's no
death
one
of
playing
that
it
game.
now though.
Yeah,
There's
that's what
no
I was
one
gonna
playing it.
say is the last time I
Yeah.
checked was like a month ago, and there was maybe 700 people playing that game. Maybe. It died faster than the Avengers, dude.
Uh-huh. At least at at least Avengers eventually put like Spider-Man in there. There's no one that you can put in there's no one that you can put in the Suicide Squad. Who who are you gonna put as who are you gonna put in a Suicide Squad? Oh look, the Clock King's here. Oh look, we
Peacekeeper.
put John Cena. Yeah, yeah.
Well, he's already in the game. You just can't see him.
Um, nah, but so here's something that like we kind of already touched on it, but I w- I wanted to ask you because this has been a hot topic for years now, and it seems like everybody's kind of got a different point of view on it. Who do you think is the best Batman? Now, I'm gonna say Kevin Conroy, but I'm talking like live action. is
Okay, so we're
where I'm
excluding
talking
Kevin
about.
Conroy because Kevin Conroy is just he is de facto Batman. If you look up Batman on the internet, Kevin Conroy comes up. Okay.
Quite literally, yeah. Yes, yeah.
Let me think here. Let me think.
See,
Because I
I
haven't seen a lot of the older ones, and it's been a while since I've seen the ones I have. Um, so like the ones that I like really prescient on my mind are Batfleck, Christian Bale, and Pattinson.
did you ever get into
And
Keaton?
I did not watch The Flash. Uh,
I'm talking
also
about like
High Pilgrim.
so.
So I didn't see that. I can't remember if I've actually watched the Keaton Batmans, but
So
I don't know.
here's
So
my thing, right?
basically, I've seen all the newer ones. If I had to pick one that I really liked, I would probably go with Christian Bale, just because he's attached to the Batman films I really, really love.
So here's my thing. I love I love Christian I love Christian Bale, but the only thing is that he goes overboard when it comes to like, the fear voice. Like like,
Yeah, when he does the Batman voice, "Where are they?"
yeah, and you don't really notice it until like The Dark Knight Rises. That's when you really notice it. But like the thing is that other than that, I think that he has one of the cooler Batmans. Like he's like just so sleek, but I think in terms of just overall, even though Bale's my favorite live action, I'm not going to deny that, I think that like Passings is pretty damn good. Like
Mhm.
Bale, haha, Pilgrim's very funny.
No,
Haha.
I was gonna say which one had the bat nipples. That's definitely the best Batman.
Uh, Clooney. I think I, th- I think that was Clooney. That was also when Schwarzenegger was
Mr.
Mr.
Freeze.
Freeze, and Uma Thurman was Poison Ivy. Oh my god.
Anyway, my issue with as far as like Batman goes, and my cameras being this way because I accidentally punched my splitter. Um, as far as Batman goes, so here's my like issue. So I think if I'm comparing the three that I know best for live action
Mhm.
Batman, I think I would say Christian Bale is my favorite because he has the least he has the least flaws. He has like the least things that I found wrong with his Batman. I think Batfleck did a good Batman, but Zack Snyder's rendition of the character, I don't like the idea of Batman running around with an M240 gunning down criminals, okay? That's wrong
In fairness, Batman did do that in like the
for a year.
70s, but
For a
but
year.
yeah.
Batman didn't have his no kill rule for a year. And that's something we'll get
Uh-huh.
into later because I do want to discuss the no kill rule. But
Yeah.
in Pattinson, I love the fear thing, like his Batman just being like silent, and like the moment he shows up, like shit's gonna go down. Like he has that aura about him more so, I think,
Mhm.
than Bale or Ben Affleck.
He definitely
But
has a
I think his Bruce Wayne is way too fucking edgy, way too immature, and maybe that's what they were going for. But I don't like that rendition on the character because every time I've seen like a Batman rendition that I like, it always starts off like with this like hardened veteran kind of Bruce who is like out of training, like he steeled himself, but he's like his biggest inexperience is he needs to get used to dealing with Gotham again.
I think Bale was the perfect Bruce Wayne. That's
I
like
actually do. I think that was
yeah.
the strength of that movie is Bale was an excellent Bruce Wayne. He kind of got that like smarmy playboy air to him.
Mhm. Like you would want to slap him in his face, but he's also the same one that's, keeping people safe though too. It's like but
Mhm.
like but like that's kind of the whole point. See, the thing is I like Pattinson's Batman, but his Bruce Wayne, this is nothing against emo people, but Bruce Wayne should not be emo, and he was literally emo. Like
I think that's the only correct position on it is like he like just the whole emo thing was not right. Like I think Pattinson brought too much of that like creepy vampire vibe from Twilight over.
But I do like Pattinson's Batman voice though. I think he's got like the best voice though for it
Hmm.
out of any of them. Um, the thing is that though you have to like, and I'm not saying you, but I'm saying people got to think about it because you can be good at one side of it, but then if you're not really as good at the other, I think it's gonna lack. And I'm not saying that this is like Pattinson's fault, but Bruce Wayne's got to get better in the sequel or else it's going to be more of the same, especially because they're 3-hour movies. And you can't just have him just
Hmm.
be Batman the whole, time. We have to see Bruce Wayne too.
Yeah,
And
like
if they
that's one of the reasons like I was reading up on this. I think this is a
uh-huh.
good analog for like talking about like a like first Batman story. You have Batman Begins, you have, year 1, you have The Batman with Pattinson. They all kind of portray the same story. This one I've really liked so far because you don't see a whole lot of Bruce Wayne, but when he's there, he kind of has that like aloof, like I don't want to deal with the media kind of playboy attitude to him, but like he's
Mhm,
very clearly like just starting out. He doesn't have as much experience with the Gotham criminals. He just
mhm.
knows that he's got to do something about it and he can fight people.
Yeah, and it feels to me kind of that the Pattinson Bruce Wayne doesn't care about Gotham. We know that he does care because he's obviously being
Mhm.
Batman, but it feels like it's more of a revenge quest than him actually doing it to save like the city, which is something that Batman should never ever be.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the reasons that the Batman like Kevin Conroy's animated Batman was so freaking good is because he was helping the city on both fronts.
Mhm.
um as Bruce Wayne, he was actively making like donations and stuff to help the criminals he was taking down. Like
Mhm.
do you remember like the whole Scarface thing, the guy with the puppet,
Mhm.
how he
Mhm.
literally went out of his way to like help the guy like sort of recover some of his mental stability and then gave him a
Yup.
job to try and like help him back in society. That was one of like the best moments for like just Bruce Wayne, is like someone who believes in people but understands that Gotham is infected with something that only the Batman can deal with.
It feels like Patterson's Bruce Wayne just doesn't really care about Gotham. It's kind of just a,
Mhm.
vendetta for him is kind of like, how it seems like. And like that works for other superheroes, but the thing with Batman is that it's so much bigger than that because his whole like solemn vow is that he never wanted to let what happened to him happen to like anybody else. So that's kind of why if it's just about vengeance for him and not like about helping Gotham and about helping people, that's kind of where it turns me off.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I think that's a pretty good point. Like the idea of Bruce just abandoning everyone around him just for the sake of revenge and all that. I mean, that little bit of like vengeance in there is there, but more often than not, he's a character who like he was broken by something that happened to him. He doesn't want people to have to go through the same thing. I think one of the biggest like portrayals of that side of him is the way like he um takes Dick Grayson in, like in the
Mhm.
whether it's in the comics or all of that. I think my favorite like a bit of information to do with that came from, I believe it was Young Justice, when or it was something like when everyone is like sitting there around the table, they're having this big conversation, and everyone's like throwing shade at Batman for something he did, and Wonder
Uh-huh.
Woman's like, you inducted Dick Grayson into crime fighting at the ripe young age of 13. Why? So he could
Mhm.
become you? And then Batman just looks at them all and just says, so he didn't become me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yup. Yeah,
Like he
and I have
understands that there's something wrong with him. And he's gonna try and stop everyone else from ever becoming like him because he knows that like
I
it's not
think
a
that's
great thing.
kind of the thing, is that, like, Batman knows that he's, like, a flawed person. Like like, he's really not afraid to, like, admit that he's flawed, but that's why he, like, takes these kids in, is so that they don't end up being like him.
Mhm.
It and I think that, considering that, Dick Grayson became Nightwing, I think it's safe to say that he did a good job with him, but that also, though, something that maybe kind of to branch off to, though, is that, do you think personally that it was wrong for Batman to, bring children into his, crusade, though, too? Because that's kind of, a whole other thing, is that, like, even people within, like, the DC universe have kind of, like, commented, like, "Why does he have, like, 10-year-old kids fighting crime with him?"
Mhm.
But I think it's because, though, this is just me personally, they all had something similar happen to, them, and they feel that their mission is the same as, like, Batman's, is kinda, like, how I
Yeah.
feel like.
I think the way Batman was looking at it in these situations is these kids are going to go down the same path I went down,
Mhm,
but they do not have the same resources that I did, and they
mhm.
may come to some awful conclusion later on and become something where so at least I can guide them down the right path because I definitely won't be able to dissuade them no matter how hard I try and hope that they turn out to be good people. And a lot of them do. I mean, Dick Grayson and Tim Drake definitely were successes in that regard. Like even as they're like out on their own, like Tim Drake doing his own thing, regardless of
I
the
still
modern
hate
day.
Damian Wayne, though. I still hate
I was
Damian
gonna
Wayne,
get
though.
to that because Damian Wayne is a little fucking turd munch. Fucking little look, never have a kid with a an immortal assassin's daughter, okay? It's just not a good idea.
And, like,
People were
he
shitting on
is
the Catwoman thing, like when he was gonna marry Catwoman. No, shit on when he banged Talia al Ghul, okay?
you know, actually, people kinda hated that whole, like, plot line, and, like, personally, I didn't hate that Batman was, like, gonna get married to her. I just didn't hate it because, like, I knew that it wasn't gonna happen. That's, like, kind of my whole thing, is that, like, they were, like, building up to it, and, it was just kinda like, they're not gonna change the status quo that
Mhm.
that much to have Batman get, like, married. That's just not gonna happen. But,
Yeah.
like, people were upset that, Batman was, like, going to be getting married, and, I was kinda thinking, y'all didn't have this reaction when Damian was, like, brought into the canon.
Mhm.
Y'all were like, "We
You
have a new
see,
Robin, yay."
I was actually okay with it because it at
Nah.
least like starts to show some like direction in like Batman's character. He spent like this
Mhm.
whole like very long time in like the area of like I am alone, I am the night, I am vengeance, I will save this city. Like he's dedicated himself to being Batman and like seeing a little bit more of like the Bruce Wayne and Batman kind of becoming one person. I was okay with that. The issues I had with it was mostly like, okay, so what are you gonna do with the character of Catwoman now? Like, she's
Mhm.
always been like this sort of like chaotic neutral of a character. She's a thief. She doesn't really have a
Yep.
particular side in like the war on Gotham. She's just there to loot someone's
I mean,
penthouse and make out for the night.
in fairness, she will help Batman more often than not, though, if
Yes.
he
Yeah,
asks her
that is
to,
true.
yeah.
That's why I say she's a chaotic neutral. Like she still
Yeah.
has her whole thieving thing and she does come into conflict with Batman, but she also helps him at times.
Yeah, and, also, before we get back on to, like, that, just a quick, like, side note, who do you think's the best Catwoman?
Whoever voiced the one in the skin tight leather suit in the Arkham games.
See, I would agree with you, but like Zoe Kravitz is hot. Like, Zoe Kravitz is like
Can we just agree that all of them are fairly hot except for the one in the Batman?
that they're barely hot.
I said that they're fairly hot.
Oh, fairly hot. You don't like the Zoe Kravitz one?
Nah, there was something about it that I didn't care for. It was just,
Anne
maybe it was just
Hathaway
me.
is pretty hot though. Anne Hathaway is pretty hot though. But
Anyway,
nah, there is a worse Catwoman than Zoe Kravitz though. Halle Halle Berry. Remember that? Remember that?
I'm gonna have to jog my memory here with the Google search.
Halle Berry was she had like her own like Catwoman movie.
Okay, it's exactly the one I was thinking of. It's the Catwoman movie. Okay. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Um so she's probably like the worst one. But so we got all of the Batmen out of the way. So I wanted to ask you, who do you think is the best Joker? Excluding Mark
Ooh.
Hamill. Excluding Mark Hamill because,
Okay. Look, well, there's a lot of different aspects to judge them on, and in all of them, Jared Leto is absolute dog shit. Who shouldn't even? He doesn't even have a right to get mentioned in this conversation, other than the fact that he is fucking dog shit as the Joker.
there are some people that actually defend Leto and say that he actually wasn't all that and say that he like wasn't bad.
They're probably
And
crazy eyed bitches who want his dick.
no, bro. They're all part of his cult.
Okay, that makes
That's
sense.
no, but so like I'm leaning towards Ledger, but I do like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker though.
So
Like,
here's the thing. I think the Joker works best when there's just like an era of mystery about him, where like
mhm.
you don't know his origins, you just know he's some psychotic killer who feels no shame and that he absolutely like loves the idea of going toe to toe with Batman. I think that is
Yeah.
the best way to write the Joker. I don't think he needs an origin. I think the attempts to try and explain him um mostly kind of suck.
The
The
Killing
killing
Joke
I
was
was going to
kind
say
of an interesting one. Yeah.
the killing joke was probably the most interesting rendition of it. But that's the reason I don't like the Joaquin Phoenix. As much as I love that movie, I still think Ledger did a better Joker, or did the best Joker. Because his just has that, like, he's just a psychotic killer. That
But
is Ledger's whole thing, and he does the whole like absolutely like psycho, out of his mind, unhinged killer thing so well in that. I think Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is like a little too like emo and edgy and like, "Oh, like everything's beating me down." A little too
when you
whiny for
you
me.
when you humanize Joker, that's kind of when you lose me a little bit. He's
Mhm,
not meant to be humanized. You cannot humanize him. You cannot. He's one of Batman's few like villains that you shouldn't feel sympathy for him. You shouldn't feel sorry for him. Like
mhm.
like there shouldn't be any sorrow had for him. But now I want to spice up the conversation because there was no comparison between Conroy and any of the live action Batmans.
Mhm.
But do you think that there's a competition between Hamill and Ledger?
Ooh. And yeah, I think this one is going to be, this is a very interesting question to answer because I have a couple of ways of approaching these. So obviously there are two very different ways you can go about the Joker. Obviously, I don't think either one is particularly wrong in the case of Ledger or Hamill. Hamill's was a little bit more of the like cartoony side. It was like the
Mhm.
mischievous, like he was still a psycho, he was still a killer, he was still an absolute menace, but his was like very mischievous and jokey, and it kind of got into like the campiness that superheroes were intended to have. Ledger's was a
Mhm.
much more serious take, and it matched what he was doing, what Nolan was doing with the series. And it got away from that campy stuff and really portrayed a good take on the like psycho killer side of the Joker. So if I had
I
to
would
pick,
say
if I had to
though,
pick one,
yeah.
my tendency is to lean towards animated stuff, and I just look that the Batman the animated show, you can't beat it. It's just the goat of cartoons. Okay.
So here's kind of my thing. I I lean towards Hamill too, and I think even though I love the animated series, I think it's because of the Arkham games. Because he is doing besides Kevin Conroy, he's doing like the best job, I think, out of like any of the other voice actors. And he made Arkham Knight a playable game because there it would have been boring without him. And he has like the best
Well,
part
well,
of
well the
the
games 30% of the gameplay was really really fun.
yeah, true, true. But when he sings that song, that's like, best part of that whole game. When he like, sings to like Batman. But like my whole thing is that I pick Hamill over um over Ledger, but it's like very slightly. And I think another part of it is that Ledger only got to do one thing, whereas like Hamill's been doing it for like 30 years. So like
Mhm. Plus, Hamill's rendition of the Joker, I think, does like really good at kind of like implementing the whole clown, corny, like intentionally unfunny kind of stuff
mhm,
than Heath Ledger's. Heath Ledger did the really like the serial killer part really, really good, but they
mhm.
failed to capitalize on like the corniness that the Joker
Yeah, cause like
incorporates into his whole character.
yeah, cause like I think even though he's like a psychopath, animated series Joker is actually kind of funny. Like, I mean,
Yeah, actually, I would agree with that. I think he's pretty funny.
yeah, yeah.
Um, there was one
The
other
laughing
thing.
fish
Oh
the
yeah, the
laughing
laughing.
fish is, like, so funny. Or, like, when
Dude, his schemes
er
are so freaking out there. Like in the animated series, when he decides to drive a garbage barge down the river and stuff, pumping laughing gas into the air.
when
Uh,
he had a casino when he had a
someone
casino
else built the casino in his name to attract him there, to piss him off.
Right,
Then that was
right.
that whole arc. But yeah,
N
the
and
Joker's
then
wild.
when Joker became, like, a millionaire and he, literally said, "I am crazy enough to, take on Batman, but the, uh, IRS, no, thank you."
Yeah, that's
Like,
one of the
dude,
greatest memes of all time, right up alongside of "You want to say that to my face, clown? Which one?"
um, but
I can't do Mark Hamill's voice.
so, actually, though, I think Mark Hamill's greatest Joker performance was actually the return of the Joker, the, Batman Beyond movie. That actually, I think, might be Hamill's best, performance.
That's another thing I'm gonna need to do a refresher on is Batman Beyond.
It's a great show. It's a
Yeah.
great show.
Um Sort of like get back to some like directly Batman topics. Are you familiar with like the whole like origin story, the early designs, the creators of Batman?
So, what I know is that I've heard that he was inspired by Zorro. That's like that's like one of the
Mhm.
early things that like I've
Yeah,
heard, and
so
I've seen some early sketches of him too, like some like
yeah,
really
let
old.
me pull this up. So original Bob Kane Batman. Let's see. Yeah, did Batman almost looked so much, and of course I killed my camera. And whatever, I'll bring it back up. Batman looked so much different than what we have today. Let's see if I can share this. So yeah.
That was
Um,
Batman.
yeah, this was what Bob Kane, the
What?
guy who came up with the concept of Batman, originally wanted to do.
That's wild.
Yeah. So he brought on a I don't know if you would call it a consultant or a friend, really, who he trusted to help him with the design. The guy's name was Bill Finger. Are you familiar with the name?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
The
I've
man
seen
who
that
was
name.
shut out of the Batman legacy for years up until the release of Batman v Superman when they
Yep.
finally acknowledged him. He was the guy
Yep.
who actually did all of the character design. I watched that whole like documentary that was presented on him. Really good stuff. So it's kind of a tragedy to see to like learn everything that happens to Bill Finger after like what he did for the character.
You know
But
what you know that early Batman that early design reminds me of the Batman of like Zar L or something. The one that's like addicted to drugs and he has like, the purple cape. Hold on. Let
huh.
me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it.
But anyway, as far as like the original like inspiration for the character, I think it was actually the Shadow that he was inspired more by than Zorro.
The
Um,
Shadow.
yeah,
I thought he was inspired by
he
Zorro more so.
maybe, but his whole origin was like pulp noir.
Oh, okay.
So the Shadow is very much similar to Batman, except for Batman does not wear, a trench coat and a scarf and a hat. He wears a bat suit.
That'd be kind of funny if like, Batman wore like a hat or something
Mhm.
or like, say that like, he was cold and then he just like I'm just gonna put a beanie on. But like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, he does wear that like stupid little Russian hat in Red Sun. So
I I actually didn't see that movie. Is
I
it
saw
good?
clips of it. I saw clips of
Oh,
it.
okay. Oh,
Basically, just
okay.
like imagine if Superman was Russian and Lex Luthor was president during Cold War.
I hate when they make Lex Luthor the president. That's so stupid. But
I think the only time it ever worked out was in the DC animated universe. I think they did that, didn't they? During Justice League
yeah.
Unlimited, the first
Hmm.
arc, he's like dying. He runs for president and all that, and he's using all his resources to like try and bring himself back to life or bring himself to
He
like good
puts
health.
himself into like Brainiac or something.
Yeah,
He's like,
dude.
inside of
Yeah,
Brainiac.
he fuses with Brainiac, he becomes like God, and then the Flash just beats the shit out of him. It's great. The
But
Flash is like, you may be a god, but I can run really fucking fast.
did 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 you did you ever see have you ever like I know you say that you like got into comics when like you were like in college. Did you ever get your hands on the first ever Batman comic? I saw that like there was like a copy of it on sale for like $17,000 and it was like from like 1938 and it's like crazy.
Okay, how fucking rich do you think I am?
You make more money than I do, so
Look, I may have this huge collection of books, but none of and like stuff, but none of this up here in individual pieces is worth more than 150 bucks.
hmm,
Yeah. So like the
interesting.
most expensive thing I have is actually no, sorry, the Claymore box set was probably 200.
But yeah, no. So like I was wondering if you like read any Batman comics from like the 30s or the 40s or like the 50s.
I actually have two like uh I don't know if you could call them anthologies, but like basically
Mm,
compilation things here. I'm gonna get them out here really quick. So I have two big old books of old Batman stories. So let's see. Right here. Yep. So I have, unfortunately, this is volume 4, but I have the Golden Age Batman. This is volume 4, so like some of these are like the older comics. I don't exactly know to when they date. I also have the greatest Batman stories ever told.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, so
That's
it's just
awesome.
this is volume 2, so it looks like I need to go back to my local comic shop and like I don't know if you can see this, but like this is some of like the old school stuff when like superheroes are
Yeah.
still in their really, really campy phase. But yeah, it's like I need to go through these and read those because I have always been interested
It's
in
just
some of that stuff. But like,
it's just fascinating to see how different the characters were 70 years back compared to now, like how much they've all grown and like changed. It's definitely very interesting to see because
mhm,
I think I think it was Captain I think it was Captain America and then it was Batman. I'm pretty sure that like those were the two that were like first. And like um now that you like mention it, I actually do have heard that Batman was based off of the Shadow, but like I said, I've also heard Zorro, but I think that the reason that I've heard so much or that like, I thought Batman was based off of Zorro is that it's part of his origin story. Like
mhm.
like
Yeah,
his,
when
family.
he wanted his family to go see the movie Zorro.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, so as far as that goes, I think that's a good trend. Like you bring up the like evolution of the character and how they've changed. I think that's a good transition into one of the things I actually did want to talk about tonight, which was the killing rule. So
Yeah.
I was doing some research. I feel like as far as like Batman goes, it's probably the like one of the biggest debates that surrounds his character is the killing rule. So I wanted to know where it came from, when it was implemented, because I also found out about a thing, part of the US's long undocumented history of censorship, the Comics Code,
Yeah.
which was, the whole idea that certain publishers, or a lot of publishers in the United States, from like the 50s onwards, um, did not publish certain kinds of content. It's why manga seems to have a manga, bande dessinée, Spanish comics. They all seem to have such a wide array of like genres, whereas American comics tend to be mostly superhero. Um,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
wanted to see how
That's
that had
something.
affected Batman. I found out the no killing rule, while it does kind of share an origin, it does have that origin in the US's moral panic over art. It came in way before this. So it came in about a year after, let me see, I have the article here. Um it came in about a year after the character was created. I don't remember the exact date.
I don't know why.
1939. Batman was first revealed in 1939. So
Mhm.
1940, 14 years before our, overly strict anti-fun regime decided that it would
Anti-fun.
it would
Yeah.
it was a bad thing to show superheroes killing. um, Bob Kane and Bill Finger came to a very similar spot. Bob Kane wasn't all that excited about it, but their editor and publisher, the guy who was doing all the business stuff, realized that there was a lot of panic going on around like showing kids material that had like killing in it,
I
and
think
that's where the no killing rule came out.
when he first started, I'm pretty sure that he had guns. I'm pretty sure.
He
I'm
had
pretty
guns.
sure.
The article actually says here he used guns in 5 of his first 16 appearances and only ever
Yeah.
killed with it once, I believe. Outside of one where they depicted him with like war propaganda, killing communists, all that, because communists don't count as people,
Um,
which
but
I think is
so
absolutely fucking retarded. That was no. And it just goes to show you how awful, like how stupid propaganda stuff is.
that's actually kind of interesting though, the fact that the killing rule's been like around for now it's like 84 years. Like like that just kind of goes to show like that, and not to rag on him too much, but that goes to show how kind of out of touch I think Zack Snyder is. Cause like
Mhm.
cause like I think he was on Rogan and he said that like as long as Batman does not indirectly kill, it's fine. But like but the thing is Batman goes out of his way in Snyder's, Batman to kill people, or he has them he he has them branded so that when they, go to prison, they will get murdered. So like the thing is that Snyder's Batman knows that he is killing people. And if Batman knows that he is killing people, then that's where it draws a no for me. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry to go on that tangent, but
No,
that was
it's
just
fine. No, I completely agree. It's a completely like related topic. It's one of the reasons I pulled it up was because Zack Snyder said that dumb stuff. One of the things I think the no killing rule did for Batman was a lot of the character evolution. It gave it like all of a sudden they needed a reason for like why Batman was doing this. Now, obviously, there was the reason it was implemented was two factors. One, there was the moral panic around comic books. Two, they were also giving him Robin as a sidekick, and they didn't like the idea of a child character being an accomplice to a bunch of vigilante killings.
Mhm.
Um, so there was that part, but then they were able to implement that into his backstory and make him a really compelling character who is this man who knows he's broken, who wants to save his city, and knows that if he crosses this line, that lust for vengeance and his war against crime will take over and he won't be able to stop. Like he
if
knows what
he
line he cannot cross. He sees it very clearly.
if if Batman kills, it turns him into the monster that he's trying to fight. And
Mhm.
so that's why he doesn't kill. And I think also a part of it too is that he saw his parents get, gunned down too. That is also probably a big uh that's probably a big part of it, which is why um when, Bale, especially with him, made that rule that like that when they show in, the first when they show in the first movie where he says that he's not an, executioner, um, and then Ra's al Ghul says, to him, criminals should, pay. Bruce Wayne says it separates us from them. Like, if Batman kills, then he's not any better than the, people that he
Mhm.
that, he that, he fights. So, yeah.
There's also the idea, I think, that reading through my collection again has brought this to the forefront of my mind. Batman still views all these criminals as human. We touched on this earlier with how he treated Scarface in the animated series and how, like, in the animated stuff, he generally tends to be much kinder to people who actually, like, he believes are actually, like, in who want to be good but can't because of their own psychological reasons or circumstances.
Mhm.
Um, he sees these people as human and he thinks like what would happen if I killed these criminals and they had families who never saw their father or mother come home.
Yep.
There's all
Yeah.
there's part of that in there too, but I think mostly the driving force is the idea that Batman knows that if he kills once, if he gets the taste for blood once, it won't stop him, and eventually he'll become the
Batman
exact same thing he's been fighting against the whole time.
over the over the years in the comics, Batman has killed people, but it's either been accidentally, or he like really snaps and then he has to be like snapped out of it, or it's like, a fear toxin thing where like, he sees that he's like killing people. It's like one of those three. Ge- Generally he does not kill people, but I just think that if you're gonna make a Batman story, you should not have him kill, because that kind of defeats the whole like purpose. Like, he's not Punisher, he's not, you know, Deadpool.
Mhm.
Like he does not need to kill people.
As
And
stupid as the argument for the no killing rule is, Bruce's own argument, if you kill a killer, you the number of killers stays the same. I mean,
Mhm,
that's a very weak argument. As dumb as that is, it's an integral part of the character now. It's what moved it
mhm.
beyond the genre of pulp noir fiction. It's what made the character iconic. That human side of him that saw the line and knew not to cross it.
Yeah, and that that's kind of why, though, I think Red Hood's cool, is because he kind of shows, even though I do even though I do agree with the, killing rule, I I do see that Red Hood is basically the flaw in, Batman's killing rule, because like Red Hood was basically like, I'm not asking you to kill Penguin, I'm not asking you to kill, like, Two-Face, but, like, Joker killed me, and you won't kill him. But but then Batman says, "All I've ever wanted to do is, kill him, but if I do kill him, I never will come I, you know, n I will never come back." And that might be weak, that might be stupid, but I kinda I kinda get where both men are,
Yeah. No, my
coming
my
from
my
there.
argument isn't about that. I think the strongest argument for the killing rule is the idea that Batman knows where he needs to stop. That's very in
Mhm,
line with the character. It's very in line with his backstory. My argument is the logic of it that's made in certain instances, like the idea
mhm,
that if you kill a killer, the number of killers stay the same. Forget the moral part of it, okay? Just acknowledge the
mhm,
fact that you know your own weaknesses. You know where you're broken, okay? That is the strongest
mhm.
argument for the killing rule. So, obviously, if you kill a killer, the number of killers stays the same, but if you kill two killers, it goes down.
Um,
Because you're still a
but
killer. The number of killers has definitely gone down if you kill two killers.
yeah, yeah, but um, I definitely do see where you're coming from, and I completely I I do think that killing rules should be in place, but I'm also, though, not going to deny that Red Hood kind of does have a point, though, when he brings that point up, though. But I think he says it out of hurt. I mean, because I would be pretty pissed off too if, you know, my, surrogate father could stop the person that murdered me, but then didn't.
Mhm.
Like, I kind of see that side of it too, but I still don't think Batman should kill Joker though, because that wouldn't make him any better than him. So,
Yeah, yeah, no, that I completely agree with that. Um, it's very interesting how a lot of these old comics or older comics were written with like that kind of nuance in mind. The idea of like taking on these subjects in these ways. With Bruce being the idea that these people are insane. They can't, like, they're not in control of their own actions. They need help. And Red Hood being, they're a danger to society. Keeping them around is only going to cause more damage. Let's cut this problem
hmm
out at the root.
hmm
Um, Red
yeah,
Hood is pretty much the ultimate, like, pragmatic answer to the problem of crime. If you kill every criminal, eventually every criminal is either dead or too scared to commit a crime.
yeah, but they had him stop killing though. um, but yeah, no, but just to say that though, like Batman doesn't like kill Batman doesn't kill people, but dude, he's had to have paralyzed thousands of people. Cause like, Batman can hit you hard. he like knows all of your like pressure points, and if he's throwing you off of like a building or something, your legs are definitely broken.
Batman
You're
doesn't
like,
kill you. He sends you to the hospital and makes you pay the bill.
yeah,
He
yeah.
doesn't kill people, he kills bank accounts.
But which is like, kind of funny though, cause like he's like, super rich. No, but did you have anything more that you wanted to say on the killing rule, or could we like move on to like another thing? Because there was some that I like wanted to kind of bring up too.
No, I think we covered the killing rule pretty thoroughly on that one. So if you
Okay.
want to move on, let's do it. Let's do
So
it.
so I don't know how many other superheroes you're like familiar with, but I think Batman's got the coolest set of like villains out of like any of them. But then he's also got some of the lamest too. Like, I mean, Batman's got Joker, he's got Two Face, he's got, Scarecrow, Bane,
And then
Poison
Condiment
Ivy,
King,
Condiment King, the Rat Catcher, um,
Calendar
Baby
Man,
Doll,
the
the
Clock
Clock,
King,
the Clock King, the Question, but
the
but
Question.
the Question, yeah, yeah.
Don't forget Riddler. Riddler is actually kind of cool.
Riddler's cool too, but I guess what I wanted to ask you, because everyone's going to say Joker, so we should just take him out of this. Who do you think? Not even like the best per se. Unless you want to say best, that's fine. But who do you think is the most interesting Batman rogue outside of Joker?
Easy. Two-Face.
Yeah. I
Look,
would
I
say
feel
Mr.
like as far as
Freeze.
all the
I would
characters,
say Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Hmm. I would say of all the
Condiment
I'm still cleaning ketchup out of my uniform 2 weeks later.
It's
Anyway,
gonna be one of those nights. Yeah.
as far as Batman villains goes, I feel like Two-Face is like the ideal kind. Two-Face, Penguin, obviously the Joker. I feel like those are like the three like ideal kinds of villains for Batman because Joker's just insane. He's a homicidal maniac. He's really intelligent. He goes through all these lengths to like make all these schemes and really test Batman. Um Penguin, he's a crime boss, and so is Two-Face, but Penguin is more so like kind of like the classy kind of crime boss. And Two-Face is like the rough and tumble, like really will like do whatever needs to be done, very intimidating kind of crime boss. I think he
Yeah.
gets a little bit of the Penguin, a little bit of the Joker. I think he's probably my favorite Batman villain just for all the portrayals, especially given his whole story, especially after reading The Long Halloween.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I think
But
Harvey Dent, especially because the Joker's overplayed, like Pilgrim said.
dude, Joker's in everything. But I think Mr. Freeze is like probably the most tragic out of like all of them because I would say there's a hint of like, darkness and like, a bad side to like most of the characters. I would
Mhm.
say that I would I would say that if you're, doing the story of, Mr. Freeze right, most of the time, all that Mr. Freeze wants is to, cure his wife,
You
and
know, that
that
actually wasn't his character arc until Batman the Animated Series came out.
I know that, yeah, yeah, but like I'm saying, Batman the Animated Series has like the best Mr. Freeze.
Hmm.
That's what made me love him. But I think Mr. Freeze is like besides Joker, I really do love him. It's either him or it's Raish. I'm not saying Roz. It's not Roz, it's Raish. It's Raish Al Ghul.
Yeah, I think Ray
It's
Al
not
Ghul's
Ra's al
fine.
Ghul.
You say Roz, I think. May I help you? This is T-Mobile tech support. How may I help you?
Pilgrim has got a great point. Batman the animated series gave us so much now iconic lore that is
Mhm.
so true. That is
You meant
so
Under the
true.
Red Hood. Sorry, I'm making a list of Batman comics I need to get for my collection here. So just some of the
Under the Red
suggestions.
Hood's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so that when I finally recover from spending way too much money on things that I can't
Uh
reveal
huh.
yet. Um I mean, one of them was the PlayStation 5 that's literally sitting right here, but
Oh,
there's
that's
another
sick.
one. Um when I finally have money after I recover from my bad spending, I will be able to go to the comic shop and maybe spend about $200 on manga and comics.
All right. Who
Anyway,
do you who do you think is the worst Batman rogue?
I want to touch on the Victor Freeze thing as far as like the tragedy
Yeah.
like goes. I feel like what Batman the animated series did for the character was turn him from some like corny mad scientist into this guy who's like desperate to save his wife. It really did a good job at humanizing a character who needed to be humanized, who could be humanized, unlike the Joker.
Hmm.
Um, and turned him into someone like even in like the Arkham games, like there are certain like death scenes where like Mr. Freeze shows up and he'll be like, I will avenge you, Batman, as I know you would do for me.
Hmm.
Like he
Yeah.
understands Batman. He's not opposed to Batman, but like he has these goals he wants to
Most
achieve.
of the time,
He wants to
Batman
save
is
his
just
wife.
most of the time, Batman is just in Freeze's way. He really doesn't have any problem with him.
Mhm.
At least that's kind of how like
Yeah,
I see it.
Batman and
Yeah.
Freeze are literally only in conflict because of collateral damage. Batman is the collateral damage to Mr. Freeze and all the people that Mr. Freeze affects with his attempts at saving his wife are the collateral damage to Batman. But
How are they going? How are they gonna do Mr. Freeze in the second Pattinson movie? That's kind of something that is gonna be interesting because those were grounded in like reality, and so like you really can't do a Mr. Freeze that's like grounded. Really, you kind of can't do that.
I feel like the newer Mr. Freeze, the stuff we get from Batman the animated series, the stuff we got from the Arkham games was pretty grounded in reality. Just a guy like
Yeah.
it's pretty much the Killdozer guy as a supervillain. Like sometimes reasonable men do have to do unreasonable things, and Mister Freeze just wants his wife back. He's going to do anything to make that happen.
Pilgrim said Mr. Freeze also shows the kindness of Batman, something that is often skipped and overlooked. Yeah, I do realize that when Batman is like interacting with like Mr. Freeze, he tends to give him a lot more chances before he just goes straight to like trying to fight him. Um, Whereas like with like Joker, Two Face,
Mhm.
Penguin, he'll kind of go straight to fighting them. Whereas like with like Freeze, he will kind of give
Yeah,
them a
because
chance.
he
But
understands that Freeze isn't inherently evil like the other ones are. Like
he's
Penguin, he's a
not. I'm saying Freeze is not insane. Whereas like I
Mhm.
feel like you can kind of
Well,
make an
neither is the
argument.
Penguin, but the Penguin is out there because like he's a crime boss. He wants to control,
Yeah.
he wants to make money off of other people's suffering. Mr. Freeze is like that's not his mission. If he could do all of this stuff without making people suffer, he would.
Mm-hmm.
But in his
Yeah.
mind, he has to do these things because it's the only way.
Yep. Yeah. And but so that's why I think that Mr. Freeze, besides Joker, is probably my favorite Batman rogue. But I just wanted to say before we get on to who we think our worst is, because worst and like overrated, I think are like a little bit different. Who do you think
Yes.
is the like you can say Joker, but I think the most overrated Batman rogue, just because he doesn't get really a whole a whole lot of stuff. I think Clayface is pretty like overrated. Like
Hmm.
like I think people like him more than he should be liked because he kind of doesn't besides like the animated series, he doesn't have anything really interesting kind of.
Yeah, yeah, I think I agree with that. I've never really seen like a good Clayface story.
Hmm.
Whereas for like Mr. Freeze, for the Joker, for Two Face, I've seen a lot of good stories involving them.
Even Bane has like a few pretty like good
Hmm.
plots too. 2004, the Batman TV show has the best Clayface. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very, very, very true. And it's actually Harvey Dent in
Yeah, that was one
that
thing that
show.
I thought was really weird about that was they made Clayface Harvey Dent. I was just like, what? What the what? Isn't he supposed to be Two Face? But maybe they didn't want to show a Harvey Dent getting his face burnt off on a kids show like that.
They they had they had Kevin Michael Richardson as Joker in that show, I think, which is
Yeah, the Joker
crazy.
also kind of looked like a hippie in that one.
And like Bane was like, up in his tubes. Pilgrim said, "Well, it wasn't Harvey Dent. The character's first name was Harvey, bro. That was meant to be Harvey Dent. Like they used bits of his origin. Yeah, yeah, true. But so who do you think is the worst Batman rogue?
Look, I'm gonna put a rule here. We're ruling out Condiment Queen because Condiment King, because
Condiment
obviously,
Queen.
uh, Condiment King is just an absolutely fucking retarded villain. That is like some schizo decided he didn't like the fact that someone put ketchup, not mustard, on his burger, and now he's gonna fucking ruin everyone's day by making him smell like vinegar. um Obviously I think that takes the cake for the worst Batman villain. But if I
I say
had
Calendar
to
Man. I
Calendar
say it's
Man,
probably yeah, yeah. I
hmm.
say it's Calendar Man because he's just like obsessed with dates. That's really all that he has, and he'll like kill people on on certain dates. That's not really all that interesting.
um Honestly, I would say my least favorite would probably be Clock King. 'Cause that one was whew.
His whole his whole like concept is like actually I have someone that's worse than the Clock King. Firefly, bro. Firefly is like pretty lame. Like
Yeah, yeah, I can see it, but I think as far as like concepts that are characters that just annoyed me, having like grown up with the DC animated stuff, Clock King was just a character that I could not see as a villain. Um, he was like he like at some point the dude literally got his hands on time travel and still managed to fuck it up. Okay, like how?
um I think that the Clock King, his whole thing is that he'll always put Batman fighting in like he'll put Batman into this world where he's like fighting where he's like running around clocks. And it's like, dude, you can turn the world upside down and like, all of that stuff. Batman figures you out every single time, which is why you don't ever see the, Clock King really get much to be on his own. He's usually part of an like ensemble because he's just not interesting.
Mhm. But
He
yeah,
he's really
also like the whole Batman the animated series like origin for the Clock King was so dumb. The dude was late for work one day and decided, "I fuck it, I'm a supervillain now." And you know what? I'm going to scribble clock hands on my glasses and I'm going to run around mumbling about the time, being a jackass the whole time. And I'll get time travel and still lose to Batman, who doesn't have time travel for like 90% of the episode.
At least, oh man, um, at least Firefly could like feasibly carry a comic or like carry like an episode of a show because that gives Batman something interesting to have to like stop
Mhm.
is he is he's a pyromaniac, but I have not seen a Clock King thing in like years. He's I lo- I like Harley Quinn. I like
She's
her.
so
She's
overused
cool.
at this point. She's better as
She
the
is.
Joker's assistant rather than just on her own thing. As the Joker's assistant, fine. But everyone wants to make her her own thing. Harley Quinn, her whole shtick is that she's in a toxic relationship with the Joker because she's also insane because the Joker drove her insane when they decided they
That's
wanted to make her her own thing, that she was going to be some lesbian slamming clams with poison ivy. It went off the rails.
that's where her sorrow comes from, is that she's in a toxic relationship. And that's why we feel sorry for her. But when they when they put her out on to her own, it's just not the same. But yeah, I mean, Pilgrim said it that she started out good, became gay, and she quite literally did. And personally, I think Poison Ivy is more overrated than than Harley Quinn
Uh,
is. Just
I look, I see the argument, I understand, but I'm just sick of all the obsession with Harley at this point, so I'm sticking to my guns on that one. Harley
dude,
is the most overrated.
she's in everything now. She's in
Mhm.
everything now.
Yeah.
Like one of one of Kevin Conroy's final performances was in Batman and Harley Quinn. Did you ever watch that movie?
Um, is that the one where she ties Dick to the bed and like gets on top of him?
She literally assaults Nightwing. It's not funny, but like it's kind of funny.
Bed noises.
Um,
I think I have a clip for that. I have a clip for that. Hold on, hold on. That's it.
um, Pilgrim says Ivy is a ginger, so I can smack talk her. I just think that Ivy is really only interesting when she's like about preserving plants. When she starts to try to turn people into plants, or when she wants to turn the whole planet into like forest, that's kind of when she like loses me, because it's like, bro, your whole thing is that like you're trying to preserve plants, not turn the whole planet into forest. Like,
Yeah, like it was one thing when Harley, Clark, when Poison Ivy was like her whole, if I remember correctly, her whole origin was like she was upset with the pollution and
mhm,
expansion of Gotham City, like destroying nature.
mhm,
That I can see as a good like basis for a supervillain, like an
mhm.
eco-terrorist kind of thing. But then she turns into this like eco-maniac who wants to like make love to trees and all that shit. And I mean, she might as well, because Harley in any of those stories is a plank of wood. Um,
She was best when she seduced people. She doesn't do that now because she likes scissors. Oh God. Yeah,
Slamming clams.
Ivy has not been Ivy has not been interesting since like the Arkham games. She was fine in the Arkham games, but she really has not been interesting since, at least in my own like point of view. But
Yeah, especially not in that stupid like Harley Quinn cartoon series they did for 4 seasons.
I think it's on its 5th season. I think it's still I think it's still going.
See, I wouldn't know because I literally do not see anything about it anymore.
No?
No, I don't. It's weird, especially with the number of Batman searches I do. Um,
Yeah, that is weird.
like
That
I
is
don't
weird.
see anything about Harley Quinn. Like that shit fell off. That shit fell off the radar after I don't know what they traveled into the past to like meet
I didn't
child
watch it,
Bruce
so
Wayne or whatever. I saw clips. I saw either are people who I follow who were talking about it. Um, yeah, there's one point in the series where like they go into like the past and meet kid Bruce Wayne, who is being pestered by adult Bruce Wayne, who's also gone into the past to bully his younger
what?
self for some fucking reason. And like
What?
he's trying to revive his parents using like Ivy's plant powers or whatever. And like Harley Quinn gives him this whole lecture about like you should be using your money to buy people houses and shit. And I'm just like, what the fuck did this show become?
I mean, in everything seems to go back to Batman the animated series. The best episode where, like, Batman tackles the thought of his, parents coming back, I think it's Her Chance to Dream where, like, he's in, like, Mad Hatter's, like, dream, world or something, and he sees what his life would be like parents, if his parents didn't, like, die, but then, like, the city is, like, suffering without there being, like, Batman, and so, I think what happens is it's been years since I've seen that, but I think that what happens is that he kinda just, like, knows that he has to let his, parents go, and so that's kinda, like, how the, like, episode ends, and him as, Batman fights he's fighting himself, but he's fighting, like, Bruce Wayne,
Yeah,
and that is a
the bell tower scene where he's like calling out to the other. That was yeah,
yeah,
that's a good episode actually. Now that I remember that.
yeah, yeah, but so to hear that the Harley Quinn show had it be that, like, Batman was trying to bring his parents back, there are times that where he, like, thinks about bringing them back, but then knows that he shouldn't because it would be defeating the purpose
Mhm,
of his mission. But that's actually kind of that's why I think that the Mask of the Phantasm is actually like that's kind of a great thing because we get to see at first a Bruce Wayne that's actually really happy, and then
mhm.
he's not focused on his vengeance mission. He
He almost puts it aside to get married, and then that goes sideways.
and then she ends up being for the streets, and then Batman just decides to, and that scene where Alfred sees him put on the mask is
Mhm.
so sick. That's
I had to use it for the intro tonight because that scene is good.
that
Dude,
scene's
like
awesome.
the first like scowl you ever see out of his face, dude. Yeah, the Phantasm, man. It's such a freaking
I
damn good movie.
uh Pil- Pilgrim said, "I love the idea that he can't help but be Batman." Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
there are a couple of other things I do want to move into, and
yeah.
most of them
Sure,
have to do
sure.
with like the writing of Batman and like how some of
Yeah,
the stories
sure.
treat him nowadays. Obviously, one of my um biggest like issues with how people treat Batman nowadays is they kind of like treat him like a joke. Like the whole like he has no powers, like Batman can beat anyone with prep time memes. Like, sure, they're funny at first, but the more and more you see them, it's like a dead horse. Or like the dead parents
That's
thing.
why he's that's but just to, like, bounce off your point, though, that's why Batman's the best because he doesn't have any powers, but he can still beat your favorite superhero. Like, hey, I mean, it's true.
I think there are specific heroes that Batman wouldn't be able to beat, namely someone like Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's power set is like a perfect counter.
See, no, but look though. See, if Batman could plan for all of Spider-Man's powers, Batman would like build a suit to stop Spider-Man being able to sense him coming, and then he would be able to beat him. Because Spider-Man's got that built-in advantage where he can sense people coming. But if Batman were to build a suit that, throws off Spider-Man being able to detect him, I think Batman could beat him. Um, but yeah, so you were like, getting onto something about how like people meme like
Mhm.
about
Yeah,
Batman.
so there's the obvious issues of like people like shitting on Batman. I brought up the idea of like how he loses all his wealth and how it's Lucius Fox who takes the whole company from him, and how like his whole team turns against him to side with Selena Kyle. How people meme on the dead parents thing, and like Teen Titans Go. I absolutely hate that show, but especially after seeing clips of like they go into the past and like push Bruce's parents into the alley so that they get killed. It's so
Uh,
dumb. Like the way they like meme on the character. But I think one of the problems with some of the Batman writing is to do with like his role in the Justice League and all that stuff. I feel like sometimes they make him a little too overpowered, ironically, for a guy with no powers. Like
I agree. Yeah,
like
yeah.
the idea of Batman being the first person to like dodge Darkseid's Omega beams. I always thought that was like, look, it's cool when you're a kid and you don't understand it, but when you're an adult and you start looking at it, like, how does that make
Honestly,
any
a
fucking
person
sense?
that well, like and, like, let's think about this in, like, a practical sense, even though it's all fake, a person that doesn't have any, like, powers, like I mean, Batman's very finely tuned, he has, like, insane, uh, reflexes, like, he is the peak human being, but Darkseid's like, "Oh, mega beams, only people that have, superpowers should really be able to dodge them." So, the fact that Batman did, it's kinda
Mhm.
like,
And
even
that's
though I
kind of
love him,
like,
it's kinda
yeah.
yeah, it's like, yeah,
That's the
it's
surface
kinda
of what
stupid.
I'm gonna like touch on here is the idea of like involving Batman in like these cosmic level threats. I feel like it takes the character out of the element where he is his best. And this is kind of one of the things I wanted to get to was like Batman was created out of, an inspiration from pulp noir. He was a crime fighter. I think the stories where he is just a crime fighter are the best. Like, as much as I love the Justice League, the stories where he's just dealing with crime are always my favorite Batman stories.
This
I
might
feel
not be
like
very popular with, some people, but honestly, Batman should not be part of the Justice League, if I'm actually being honest with you.
I honestly think I agree. I don't think the Green Arrow or Batman should be a part of the Justice League outside of Batman's usefulness in planning, tactics, and
They use him to pay for it all.
intelligence.
That's literally, what they use him for.
I
They
feel like Batman's role okay, I'm okay actually with Batman being involved in the Justice League, specifically because he's the one who's most tactically minded out of all the other characters.
Mhm.
Um, he is the kind of person that they could rely on to find a strategy for victory in any situation.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But
I feel like that should be mostly his role in these sorts of things, like him going toe to toe with like parademons and all that stuff, and some of the DC animated stuff. I'm just like, look, these things they're not human. I
they
think Batman's out of his depth on this one.
they kinda wrote Batman to be and, e even though I love him, Batman should not be, invincible. He shouldn't be. He shouldn't
Mhm.
be. Batman should be beatable. And so, I think when you make him, invincible, you kinda, defeat the whole point. Um
Mostly, I agree with this, Pilgrim. I think the cosmic stuff, the multiversal stuff, things that start to get really, really like a whole lot bigger than Gotham, you really start to pull the character out of the element that he's good for. And that is dealing with street level crimes and stuff. Magic stuff, okay, if it's a team up thing, yeah, having Batman around is kind of nice because he's the kind of guy who can analyze things objectively and sort of figure out how to
Zatanna
deal with
and him are friends too.
it.
Zatanna and him are like, childhood friends.
But Batman,
Depending
I
on
don't
like,
think has much of a place in dealing with figures like Darkseid
in
outside
all
of like
seriousness,
maybe helping the Justice League find a way to beat Darkseid.
why why is Batman fighting Brainiac one on one? Like why? Why is he even doing that? And the thing is, Batman beats them all really easily. like
Yeah, or like
and it's
look, there was one really cool moment where like Batman bluffs Darkseid. I like that I
yeah,
thought was cool. I think that's probably the most you can get out of Batman in a most you can like feasibly get out of Batman for writing in these sort of cosmic struggles, like being able to bluff Darkseid. Sure, I would believe that. But Batman going to fight Darkseid alone in the hell that's fuck no. Please stop yourself. No. No. No.
I
No.
mean I mean it's cool. It's cool, but
Yes. Yes. So is a lot of like dumb shit they do in Star Wars, but if you start thinking about it, it's not all that practical. Remember that scene in like Book of Boba Fett where the dude twirls around to shoot someone?
uh-huh.
Sure, would have been cool in a proper action scene, but you didn't need to do that. Like you could have just pulled the trigger, would have been dead like 2 seconds faster.
The fact that Batman can solo Darkseid, but the fact that the Clock King gives him trouble is actually kind of stupid.
Yeah, no,
Like,
it literally like makes Darkseid and like other bigger, like very, very threatening villains look like a joke. It's why I have a huge
yeah.
problem with Batman being anything other than a crime fighter. Sure. Look, as much as like I am kind of iffy on the idea of him being part of the Justice League, as much as I love the character, you have to acknowledge that there are like certain roles that they just can't do. I don't think outside of like I said, planning tactics, counterintelligence, Batman is good for cosmic threats.
What what would you say to the notion that he has a contingency for literally everything, that he's trained for everything? Do you buy into that or no?
I
Does that
feel
make sense?
like okay, for everything, I feel like it's a little excessive, but the idea that Batman would go out of his way to make contingency plans in the case that he has to deal with one of his fellow Justice League members, I can
Mhm.
understand that. That is very much Batman. And like
Mhm.
another one of my favorite lines from Batman is I believe it was Justice League Doom, I think it was, where Ra's al Ghul gets a hold of all the contingency plans. um like they all get pissed at him for having them, and they're like, well, we don't have a contingency plan for you, and he's just like, well, then you're all fools.
Yeah. Yeah.
He like calls them out
Yeah.
like, you guys realize that you need to have a plan in place just in case at some point I ever like decide to stop being this person that I am. If something happens that changes me, you need to be ready to deal with me. I'm trusting you with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and, there's actually a really cool video, I'm going to send it to you after this, unless you've already seen it, where they have, Kevin Conroy as, Batman read off all of the contingency plans
I
that
actually have
he,
seen that one. I've seen that one, yes.
dude, it's so cool. It is so cool. And then, but, the thing is, though, so, yeah, I'm, with you. I don't mind that part, but if, Batman has plans for how he would deal with, Darkseid or how he would deal with, Doom's, Doom's, day or something, I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, why do you have that as prep? And like, you're not trained for that kind of thing, bro. Like,
Mhm.
you're not trained to deal with dark side. You're just not. No matter how long he's like, been on the job for, he's not trained to deal with dark side. He's just not. So that's kind of where uh Pilgrim asks, have y'all seen Kevin read the script from the end of the Dark Knight and then someone animated it? I have seen that. It's cool.
I'll have to check that one out. That might be interesting. But yeah, I think look, one of the things I really love about superheroes, and there are like certain indie comics and stuff that kind of capture this, certain anime and all that kind of capture this, that I think Batman is the epitome of. It is, I say that in this case, Batman is the epitome of the like ideal male fantasy of being able to save the day, not the world,
Mhm.
just being able to stop something that's happening right in front of you. That is what Batman is, like the quintessential example of. He
Yep.
is best when he's just roughing up a couple of gangsters who decided they wanted to mug some poor family. He's the best when
Mhm.
he's dealing with crime bosses or robberies and all that stuff. That's his element. That's what he was designed for. That's what he should be doing. He should be saving Gotham from crime, not saving the universe from a god.
The only thing that I think would make sense for him to like be a part of the Justice League is if like Joker linked up with like, Darkseid or something and then like he was like, "Well, Joker's like my villain, so like obviously I have to like be here." But like,
He kind of takes that mentality in a couple of different series, right? Like he treats the Justice League as secondary to his whole mission. Like
well, yeah,
he's there because he knows the people involved and as like an act of trust. But the moment like it becomes inconvenient for him, he's willing to drop it.
he literally only like he kind of only really shows up like to like, like basically, the way that I view it is that Batman's what keeps like he like pays to keep like the lights on. Like he like pays for like, the watchtower and like, all of that stuff. And he's just kind of there to make sure that like everything runs like smoothly. Or if they need his help to fight Darkseid or something, which it's always Darkseid. They like never use anybody else. But like he's really only there to do like maintenance. Like and he like pays for like and he pays for like everything, which is like he's basically what Iron Man is to the, Avengers. Pretty it's like pretty much like the same thing, but I think Batman really should not be part of the Justice League, but I kind of see why he is there because in a cataclysmic event that would also affect Gotham, it would be useful for him to have allies that he could like possibly trust. That that part makes sense. But
Mm-hmm.
when he's part of every one of the Justice League's operations, there's stuff that he has to do in, Gotham. But now that like, the Bat family is so huge now, I guess it kind of makes sense, but that's also just another thing. The Bat family is too huge. There's like 40 of them now. There's like 40 people out at one time in Gotham fighting crime. There really should not be a need for Batman because you have like you have like four different Robins, you have Nightwing, you have, Red Hood. You have all of these different people that are all fighting crime at once in one city. And it's kind of a little bit much. So maybe they did that so that Batman can be part of the Justice League now more so, but just it they're really writing Batman to not really be a crime fighter. He's more of just like the universal dude now.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of seems like. And I think that's why people view Batman as kind of this like memey dude. is that like this dude without powers is literally like taking on gods and he's beating them. So
Mhm. Yeah, it's I love the idea of just dealing with street level stuff. That's why
mhm,
I'm not a huge Spider-Man fan, but of all the Marvel characters, he's probably up there for me for just like his whole like thing of dealing with street level crime, his personality, all of that. I respect Spider-Man fans, is what I'm saying. Um another fuck, I just fucked my mic. Okay, there we go. Another uh I like street level stuff. I like seeing that in comics and in manga and anime. I like the idea of just like saving the average everyday person. And that is
mhm.
why I really, really fell in love with Batman, was just the idea of him being the hero for the everyday person. Not the entire world. He was the character who saved the everyday person. Some anime and stuff do capture that really well. Like My Hero Academia does that kind of with the main character Deku, who is inspired by Spider-Man. Very interesting,
Mhm.
considering his powers include Danger Sense and Black Whip, which basically make him Spider-Man. Um, but yeah, it's like those kinds of characters have always attracted me. But Batman is the closest to like the ideal superhero to me because he's just a guy doing everything he can to make sure people aren't ending up in the same situation he was in.
Exactly.
He's there to
Yeah.
make sure they don't have to go through the pain he went through. He's there to try and fix the crime problems, and he's there with a set of morals that he adheres to in order to do it.
What do you think about the fact that there's so many members of the like Bat family now? I think it's too huge. I think
I
it's
feel
too
like
big.
it's kind of watered down Batman's whole crusade. Like
Yeah,
I
because
think I agree with what Pilgrim's saying here. Keep it to the Robins and Oracle. I would say literally just keep it to um uh Tim, Jason, and Dick and Barbara.
mhm,
That is all you
mhm.
need as far as his team. Everyone
It's like
else,
400 characters.
yeah,
Yeah,
you have
like
like Spoiler,
uh-huh,
Orphan, you have
uh-huh.
uh
The Signal,
Damien, Signal,
uh-huh.
Catwoman, and Harley Quinn are technically honorary members
Batwing, Batwing,
Batwoman,
Batwoman,
because
yeah.
Batwoman and Batgirl are two different characters now, apparently. You don't need that
Dude,
many different characters. There's no reason for it.
the thing is,
Damn
Batman
Bidenflation even affecting our superheroes. I have a no politics rule on this channel, and that's about as political as I will get.
um but the thing is though, it kinda when when I was growing up reading a lot of the comics, I was like, "Why is Clayface part of the Bat family?" Or like, "Who the heck is Spoiler?" Or like, "Who is the Signal?" Or like, "Why is Lucius Fox's kid wearing a, bat costume?" And I was kinda thinking to myself, "There's too many Bat people. There's too many of them."
Mhm,
And it's just it kinda ruins the whole point because, now there's, like, now in a, Batman comic or in a story based in Batman's world, Batman does not get any time because they have to focus on, like, all these different characters so that,
mhm.
they all get time. But
I think it would be good if they treated it the way Chris Nolan treated like the copycat vigilantes in The Dark Knight. I'm not
mhm.
wearing hockey pants.
Yeah,
That kind
yeah,
of stuff.
but
Like if Batman was like chasing, say, Batwoman or the Signal because they're copycat vigilantes who are doing things that he doesn't agree with, that would be one thing. Like I could respect a story about that. But the idea that they're all just going to get added to the Bat family and they're just going to become a part of like the crime fighting gang, you're overplaying that whole thing, and I think they're
doesn't
trying.
that doesn't that kind of defeat the whole purpose when you have like 17 different crime fighters out there out at once? That kind of like that should be kind of easy. Like, you kind of really don't have to do anything because like you have so many people. But to Pilgrim's point, even Gordon became Batman in the uh comic books because Bruce got amnesia. So Gordon put on like a robot bat suit and actually like became Batman. I'm not kidding, dude. I wish I was kidding. I wish I was kidding. I'm not making that up.
I'm gonna sigh, Jimbo.
But like the thing is though, just like this last note on the Bat Family. Say that like Joker's doing something, right? But then you have 18 bat like people coming out to fight. Shouldn't you be able to stop Joker really fast if you have
Shadow clone jutsu.
if you have like 19 people all going to fight him at like once? That would kind of make it really, really easy. Um Pilgrim has got a point too. Also, it makes Batman seem stupid for all of the members. Why is Gotham still the way that it is? Yeah, yeah,
Well,
true.
look, I'm gonna put on a tinfoil hat here for a second as to why that is. Well, they've been pushing this idea a lot that Batman's crusade against crime isn't actually helping Gotham, and that if he were to just give up all his wealth and put all that money into the government that in social programs, that it would fix everything. That his tough on crime policy is the reason Gotham is still shit. I think that you can attribute some of that mentality to why they're inflating this so much, is to like try and drive home the point that Batman actually isn't doing anything good. Another part of it is the team is so big because Batman is DC's most popular character. It just
Mm-hmm.
hands down. He sells more than anything. Right now, like really the only thing I think that's alive is the Holy Trinity for them, which is Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to attach as many possible characters to Batman. One, for monetary value. Two, diversity. And I don't give a shit whether you use slam clams or ride rockets. But the idea that you're going to drop in a character just to be there's literally a panel out there of someone saying like, I'm a trans woman in Gotham, I always carrying a weapon. Like, if you're really just putting a character in to say shit like that, you're missing the point. Like, the reason
Yeah,
characters like Dick, Jason, and Tim stuck around is because people actually liked who they were. They weren't created to be tropes. They actually had like a whole
true,
like part of their character that made them human.
true.
So sure, if
Yeah,
you're gonna do that,
yeah.
at least give us something other than a skin deep identity to back out the character.
So would you mind sharing my screen? This is current day, all of the members of the Bat family. This is literally like all of
Huntress is officially a part of it.
uh-huh. Clayface, Blue Bird. There are literally two there's two Batgirls. There are too many people here. There are too many people here.
That's ridiculous.
Wait a second. Isn't Jason Todd Red Hood?
Yeah, I
The
was
heck?
gonna say I see Robin and I see Tim Drake. You realize how little
Harley
Robin? Yeah, that's
Har-
us. They include
Harley's
the
a
Bat family as part of the Bat family. Look above Harley Quinn.
Oh man. But even then though, that is still too huge.
Yeah.
That's still why is it that big? Major pause. But like it doesn't need to be 20 22 people in one night all fighting crime in within like the same city. That's just too stupid.
Well,
It's too much.
technically, Nightwing isn't in the same city. He's in Bloodhaven.
Okay, but like Nightwing always ends up going to Gotham for something.
Yeah,
Like
he's literally like right next to Gotham still.
basically like Bloodhaven's basically kind of like a little island that's like, right next to Gotham City. It's basically like
Yeah. Look, it's the same reason that like we got like Supergirl, Superboy, John Kent, all that stuff. It's the same reason they can attach a new character to an old name that's very popular and they could just
uh
spruce it up with a new like identity. Oh, like or like Steel. Oh, look, it's Black Superman. Um
yeah, true.
and
True.
it's like look, if you're going to make these like quote unquote diverse characters, at least make them original characters, not derivatives, okay?
Yeah. Um
Like Moon Knight was at least cool as if you're going to go with like an Egyptian superhero. Moon Knight was at least cool. That was like a really good idea for that.
yeah. Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
but like nothing else ever seems to want to follow that formula. And that's why we have the
Yeah.
Bat family being so big is because they want to keep trying to make these characters stick, but they don't.
Why 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 is Clayface part of the Bat? Why is Clayface part of the Bat family? That's so stupid. That
I don't know.
is that is so stupid. But so before we got onto this tangent, you said that there was a couple of things that you wanted to bring up. We've talked about one of them. So
No,
was there something
that was
else?
pretty much it. Was hitting all of like the Batman writing stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
his role in the Justice League, his role as like a crime fighter, like the idea of him being the ideal superhero, pretty much just a guy who is like out there doing his thing with just the bare minimum, like his strength. He doesn't have superpowers. He has his mind. He has his skills.
Do
Ooh,
you
that's a
guys
good
like stories
question.
better when the GCPD is friendly or hostile?
I like the stories better when he's friendly with Jim, with Gordon.
Yeah, I like it when he's like not chummy with like all of the cops, but only like Gordon, kind of like where like they don't trust him,
Or
or
like in the
like
Long Halloween, where like he's on good terms with Harvey Dent.
actor Ethan Peck, who plays Spock, could he be James Gunn's perfect Batman? No, no. Did
I'm about to.
I sent it into Daimyo's Discord a couple of days back. Apparently, James Gunn's looking at Jake Gyllenhaal, and I kind of don't know if I like that or not.
Yeah,
Cause like he'd have to be an older Batman, which I guess is like okay, but like then then you're going to confuse the masses though, because then people are gonna be like, what about the Pattinson Batman? Like we've never had two live action Batmen at the same time. It'd be kind of weird.
yeah. I feel bad for you know whoever's gonna lose in that situation because obviously one's gonna end up being more popular than the other.
Yeah.
That's a bad move. I don't know what Gunn is thinking. Looking at his plan though, like I don't know what he's thinking with a lot of these things,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if I have much good faith in it. As far as like the whole Ethan Peck thing, just looking at the guy, If we're talking about a live action Batman, I don't think he had the look for Batman.
Did you know that before they settled on him being Jonathan Crane, Cillian Murphy actually tried out to be Batman before they chose Christian Bale? That's actually that's actually kind of it's actually kind of cool.
Hmm.
They liked Cillian Murphy as Bruce Wayne, but they didn't like him as Batman. So
Interesting.
they wanted to keep him on, so they made him Jonathan Crane, and
They made
then
him the Scarecrow. Yeah,
and then they chose Christian Bale.
I did
Um,
not know that actually.
yeah,
Completely. I
Pilgrim
for some
said,
reason I completely blanked on the fact that Killian Murphy was even in that trilogy.
yeah. Pilgrim says, from what we know, he wanted to make Reeves's Batman as his, but he wants to do his own thing.
So
Okay, but
basically, he wants to hijack somebody else's creation and make it his own. That doesn't
but
give me good. That doesn't give me good vibes because that's literally the whole thing. Like I have ranted a lot about localizers on this channel. That is like my biggest gripe about a lot of the way people adapt media nowadays is they want to hijack other people's creations and make it their own. It
yeah,
is the we're
yeah.
improving, we're fixing, we're making it for a modern audience mentality.
Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah.
I feel like if James Gunn really wants to do um like good with the DC universe, he will get people who like are familiar with the stories that they're working with to write them.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Or he'll just pick up the comics and adapt them as closely as possible. Like he started off with like a Batman like the Long Halloween adaptation, you'd have a pretty good Batman movie. Just saying. Just
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, but then though but that's going to confuse the casual fan though too, because then there will be like the people that would think Pattinson is Batman, but then there's also,
Mhm.
a second one. And then one's gonna be kind of like what you said earlier. One's gonna inevitably be the more like popular one, and so like that's and I think Gunn wants to try to sweep the Patterson Batman kind of out. Like he kind of wants to make his own Batman, which would piss me off because Gunn, his whole plan is that he wants to make DC more modernized, and it just doesn't fit. Like, it doesn't fit with like what is going on now.
Mhm. I don't I don't think the confusion argument lands. I think people are smarter than that. I feel like
Mm.
that is devaluing the intelligence of people watching. Sure, some of them might.
I'm saying
Um
like super like casual people, like
Yes, I was about to give an example of to prove your point
yeah,
here.
yeah,
Demon Slayer does this thing where they start out like every season since 2 with a cinematic release where they take the first couple of episodes of the new season and like the last 2 of the old season and they mash them together for a movie and they release it. Well, this has happened twice now and people have gone to the movie without realizing what it is and they've been upset by that. The first time, okay, sure. The second time, you should have fucking known. Um,
yeah, yeah.
Look, if you're that casual of a fan, you shouldn't go in expecting to see the same thing every freaking time. Just because
That's true.
Pattinson
That's
is
true.
Batman in one movie doesn't mean he'll be Batman in the next. I mean, Ben
That's
Affleck
true.
was just Batman in a couple of movies. He wasn't Batman in this one. Christian Bale is
True.
still
True.
around. He could still play Batman if you really wanted him to. But I mean, I get he's probably too old for it at this point. But like,
They would have to throw. They would probably have to throw like a super big bag at him, and then he would like, and then he would
yeah,
like
that
probably
movie
do
would
it.
be financially doomed.
No, dude. I am telling you, they see the success that like, Spider-Man's having in terms of having the like Spider-Verse movies. I just know that Gunn is clamoring to figure out how he can do Batman verse movie where like, he'll have Keaton, Bale, Pattinson, like like all in like one movie.
See,
I
the
don't think
thing
he's trying to
is,
do that.
I'm just gonna say it. I think those multiverse movies kind of suck ass.
I
Um,
100% agree with you.
and that literally, like, I did enjoy No Way Home, but let's be honest, the whole multiverse thing only worked in that because people were really, really fond of all those Spider-Man getting together, and because Spider-Man is kind of a character who can get away with that. Batman is not the kind of character who deals with that kind of cosmic shit. Batman
Yep.
should be alone with
Mhm.
one, maybe two sidekicks.
Mhm. Yep. But it's also though, if you have all of the Batmen, I just don't think that that would mesh. Like if you have like Keaton, Bale, Addison,
Yeah,
Affleck,
they'd all be butting heads in their own different ways because of the different interpretations.
exactly. And I just don't think that that would work in a film.
Because
That just wouldn't work.
Batman tends to be a very disagreeable character. If you bring a bunch of Batman characters together, they aren't going to want to work with each other. Unlike with Spider-Man, who tends to be more agreeable as a character, he is
Mhm.
nicer, he is more willing, open to collaboration. That works because Spider-Man is the kind of character who would uh,
Well,
agree to team up more so than
well,
Batman.
well, every single one of the Batmen would all think that the way that they do it is, the only way that like things should be done, and it just wouldn't, in terms of story and scope, it just would not make
Mhm.
sense. For, but I'm just
You would
saying,
have to cuck some Batman and elevate the others.
I'm just saying, I really feel like Gunn's trying to like do that. That's kind of my whole thing is that I really think that he's like trying to clamor to have that happen because Warner Brothers has been talking to Christian Bale for like the last year, wanting him to come back.
Mhm.
And what would they want him to come back for? A Batverse movie. That's that's probably all that he would come back for.
I
So
don't know how to feel about that. I don't think that they're actually going to do it. I doubt that they'll do something like that or that they're even planning for it. I'm it's weird, but I did remember one thing I wanted to bring up.
sure.
As far as like look, the DC like animation here in the West has not been the greatest as of late. We had some really good stuff in the past, and there is one thing I'm very interested in that's Arc Survival Evolved. But as far as animation goes, anime is kicking ass right now. And have you heard anything about the Suicide Squad anime that they're making?
Um, an anime? I haven't.
They're making
I
a
haven't.
Suicide Squad anime, which shows
Awesome.
that look here's one of the things that I'm very interested in. Um, I'm gonna dive out of the Batman and then back into it. So DC, Warner Bros. As a whole, actually, has been loaning out some of their properties to Japanese animation studios, which is interesting. So first, it started with the series Ruby, um, which probably would have done better if the series hadn't already been shot dead by Rooster Teeth for the way they treated it.
Yeah.
Um, Now they are doing a Suicide Squad anime, and honestly, I am 50-50 on watching it because it is an isekai, and isekais are either really fucking good, like 10% of them are like really fucking good. Um 90% of them are shit. And basically what the Suicide Squad mission is going to be is they're going to send the Suicide Squad through a portal into like a Lord of the Rings kind of world. I shit you not. That is what it's portal fantasy is what isekai is.
Oh
So
man.
it is going to be an entire just gag show, but the animation looks good. And here's where I'm going with this. There's a guy out there who just started doing a project with Adult Swim, and the show is called Ninja Kamui, and I would encourage you to look it up because it would be a great model for like a really good Batman animated series. It's got really nice looking action. Sung Hoo Park, the director on it, he is famous for doing the fights for the first two parts of Jujutsu Kaisen, which really blew the series up. If they did something like that with like a like proper Batman anime, that'd be really fucking cool.
Well, I also think that there definitely is room for a Batman anime because
Mhm.
Batman Ninja was actually kind of cool. I don't know if you ever saw that film, but like
I didn't want to touch it after I saw clips of a giant bat mech.
you
And no, I'm not.
saying
I'm not talking about like Batman mech. No, like I
I
saw all
know.
the bats come together and make a giant ass mech to fight the Joker's like mechanical Shogun castle.
I know
Look,
that you
my
saw a
point
clip of it.
is that with DC loaning out their properties and stuff like, or with Warner Bros. Loaning out their properties and stuff like this, I don't think it's entirely off the table to see them try and take advantage of this with some of their more popular characters. They already tried to
Honestly,
emulate it with Superman. You saw like the very like jank ass Superman like attempt at Western anime, and it didn't work.
honestly, honestly, a Batman anime show would actually go kind of hard.
If it
Like,
was done properly, yes.
yeah, yeah. Like they could really do some like, cool stuff doing like a
Mhm.
Batman anime. That
Like
actually be really
if
cool.
it were given the animation like quality of something like Jujutsu Kaisen or Frieren, yeah, it would absolutely pop off. It was given the good storytelling of something like one of the comics we've mentioned tonight. If they covered one of those more faithfully, um, we'd probably get a really good show. But that was one of the things I wanted to touch on. I find it very interesting that this is a legit possibility that we could be seeing something like that, particularly because Gunn wants to do a whole multimedia thing.
Well, I just wanted, well, just like on that Batman anime topic, I know that you probably saw that clip of them, building like the Megazord to fight like, Joker's thing, but I'm telling you, dude, give Batman Ninja a try. It's actually not that bad. It's actually
Right.
not that bad. Um, a season-long adaptation of The Long Halloween would go crazy. That
Yeah. That would
that
actually
would
be
be
like
awesome.
the great. So I do want to touch on this. So IMO, most of the fan casts I've seen that aren't Ackles or Richardson, both pretty bad choices for different reasons, are usually people that are too old or too pretty, for lack of a better word. I agree that Peck has more of a villain face, but I think it would serve him very well for a dark character like Batman. Plus, he just looks like he looks just like his grandfather, whose face was used as a reference. But I think that would serve him well for a dark character like Batman. And
Yeah. And plus, he looks just like his grandfather, whose face was used as reference for Bruce Wayne in not only Year One, but also Kingdom Come. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Peck, Peck as Batman could definitely work, but there was I think this was on it, wa- it was either on X-Wing's stream or something. Shout out to Nikki because she was talking about this with someone, and I wanted to hear what like you thought of this. Do you think that if they were to do it right, Adam Driver could be like Batman? Because honestly, I kind of see it. I I actually kind of see it. I see Adam Driver kind of being a good Batman.
Adam Driver as Batman.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about that one. I
I
feel like, look, I have nothing wrong with Adam Driver uh, as or his acting. It's just
mhm.
Oh well, Pilgrim straight up said it. I
Is
feel like he does not have the look of a proper playboy that like you would need Bruce Wayne for. I think Ben Affleck could get away with it because he has that sort of like playboy look to him, like that suave, like handsome look. Christian
he would have
Bale
to
could do it. Robert Pattinson could do it. I don't see Adam Driver doing it without some sort of nose job.
okay. Hear me out here. He would have to take it extremely seriously. Y'all are gonna laugh at me. I think Chris Pratt could actually do it. I think that Chris Pratt could actually do it. If he if he took it seriously, if he took it seriously, he could be a good Bruce Wayne. He could be a good Bruce Wayne.
Maybe. Maybe. Look, have you seen the Terminal List?
I think so. I think so.
I
Yeah.
liked Pratt in the Terminal List. I've seen his like more serious acting.
Mhm.
I still don't think he is a good fit for Batman. Just saying. Like I feel
Pilgrim
like
said
he can. Who's that
Pilgrim
over
said that
there?
he would be a better Green Arrow. True.
I actually
True.
agree with that. I think he'd be a way better Oliver Queen than a Bruce Wayne. My
But
point was going to be that like
yeah,
as far as the character of uh Batman and Bruce Wayne goes, I don't feel like Pratt is quite the right fit for it. Um he could probably do okay. Um but I just don't see it. I feel like you need an actor who has a reputation for like characters that are a little bit more intense than what Pratt is known for being, on Parks and Rec and with Guardians of the Galaxy. I feel like he's a little bit more like jokey in the way he
I feel like if they
comedic.
polished him right, I feel like Jeremy Renner could probably be a good. He could probably do like a halfway decent job, maybe. Or like if their goal is like an older Batman, maybe like a Mark like Wahlberg or something. Maybe Mark Wahlberg is Bruce Wayne.
I once made the mistake of confusing Alan West with Tim Allen by accident. So now
No
the
way,
idea of Tim Allen Batman is just stuck in my head because of this conversation.
dude. Dude, there there have there there have been some people that have said that like, Tom Cruise would actually be a good like Bruce Wayne. And like, I don't know. I really don't see it.
I
I
feel
don't think
like,
Tom
look,
Cruise
I don't think Tom Cruise fits it. I feel like he's a better like Reed Richards or Iron Man than a Batman.
actually they actually wanted Tom Cruise to they wanted him to be Iron Man, but he he actually requested that his face had to be visible the whole time, so that was why they went with Robert Downey Jr.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um Pilgrim brings up a point. I don't want big name actors as the Trinity. I actually do agree with that. I I wouldn't I think they should all just be a cast of like people that like people don't really know so that we can like, get to know them. But then there's also gonna be the, backlash of, like, people saying, I don't know who any of those people are, and I don't wanna go see it," because fans are just never happy, so it's
Well,
like
one of the things that I think you can point out now is that star power doesn't have as much draw as it used to. Like,
that's true.
it's hard for me to say like like sure how big that is because I've never cared who's in a movie. I go to see the movie based on the movie itself rather than who's in it.
Mhm,
As far as I've ever been concerned, who's in a movie does not prevent the movie from being complete shit. Like that's all on the writer and that writers, directors, all that kind of stuff. The actor is really only responsible for their acting. And if they're a good
true.
actor in a shit movie, it's still going to be a shit movie.
Yeah.
So even if you got
It's,
like the biggest name, like the best like draw power you could, I don't think it does much these days. It's not the same because people don't see movie stars the same way as they used to, and that's largely because of social media.
and like it's also kind of on like a side note to to your point, but I wanted to shout Rolo out here because Rolo always says that an actor's only as good as like, the script that they're like, given. It's like
Mhm.
you can have like Robert like De Niro be on your movie, but if you have like, a terrible script, then he's not gonna be good in it. Like he can't do anything if you give him like a really terrible script. So yeah.
Mhm. Also, Rip Roland.
Basically, if you don't have a penis, don't hit on me.
He was so angry when I sent that to him. He was so pissed. He was,
Bro, he's probably never gonna talk to me again for making that.
he was so mad. No, but so what even like inspired you to make that anyway?
He said it, and I was just like, "Well, I'm gonna make it." Look, I fully expect anyone at any point to like take clips of me saying shit and do stuff like that because, bro,
Pretty
I
sure
have
Ronnie is making something. I'm pretty sure that Ronnie's like making something. Um
he's perfectly welcome to. I enjoy the memes, but I just do it when I find funny shit. Like I watch other channels and I literally like clip shit. So like I have Shadiversity on here. I have some weebs and waifus. I have clips of taking people out of context and making them say racist things.
so so Pilgrim brought up a point, Kiefer Sutherland as Batman. He'd have to be like an older one, but I kind of see it. Kind of sort of. Like he could probably pull off Bruce Wayne well.
Maybe, yeah. You could probably do it. Um,
I
I don't
I
know if I don't know if I feel good about that pick either though.
yeah, nah, nah, bro. You know who they're gonna pick because they can't help it, because they just can't help themselves. They're gonna pick The Rock. I'm calling it right now. The
No, 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 no. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. They're gonna pick The Rock for Bane, and they're gonna pick Timothy Chalamet for Batman.
if Timothy Chalamet's Batman, I'm permitting sewer slide. Okay? If if Timothy Chalamet is Batman, I am not existing on this plane anymore. Timothy, I would rather Tom Holland than Timothy Chalamet as Batman. Why would you do that? I would,
Because they
I'd rather
want all of these like big manly man character. Look, I guarantee you, by the time this whole James Gunn's universe, DC universe is over, Timothy Chalamet will be every character. He'll be Superman. He'll be the Flash. He'll be Wonder Woman. He'll be Green Arrow. He'll be Batman. He'll be Supergirl. It's just all Timothy Chalamet.
that's what happened to be like Joker somehow. Like,
The Chalamet verse.
the, would you want Robert Patterson? You mean Robert Pattinson? Yeah, I would.
Look, I would actually take Robert Pattinson's Batman if they decided not to make Bruce Wayne emo. Like, I'm pretty sure Robert Pattinson looks like
I think
like
Pilgrim's asking back.
when they decide to like dress him up and like make him look good, he looks like the playboy, the kind of like frat boy thing you would want for Bruce Wayne. And I think he did a pretty good Batman. Um, and just screw the edgy shit, stop brooding, be a proper Bruce Wayne, and I would be okay with that.
Pilgrim asked back 5 to 8 years ago. So what? Instead of Batfleck? Because if so, yeah. because I wasn't really a fan of Ben Affleck as Batman, if I'm being honest with you. Like, if it were up to me, Bale would play Batman in literally like every single movie, but that's just not practical. So there kind of has to come a point like, this is literally Pattinson's thing now, so they should just ride it out with him. Give him like 2 or 3
Mhm.
movies, and then if they really want to, cast someone else. But at least give him his second movie.
I
If you wanna
think they
end
could use Pattinson's Batman as a really good origin story for their Batman, and then move
Yeah,
into like an older version of the character for like a
yeah.
Justice League kind of thing.
Yeah, like, cause that's probably what they're planning for, is that
Mhm.
they're probably gonna wanna move into Justice League, which is probably what they're gonna do. So, that's kinda my whole thing is that, like, they, it kinda seems to me like they're moving to Justice League, but Pattison at least deserves to have his, like, second movie. If
Mhm.
cancel it If you wanna cancel it after that, fine, but he should at least get his second movie. Don't just leave it at 1 movie. Just just don't do that. Pilgrim said, "My point is 5 to 8 years ago, if someone said, 'Hey, you know the guy from Twilight? Yeah, he is Batman now,' you would have had the same reaction." You know what? True, true.
No, my reaction would have been, "What the fuck is a Twilight?" You see, unlike you two, I don't watch or read that gay shit.
I I never watched the Twilight movies.
You didn't deny reading the books though.
I had to for high school. You
They
can literally ask
what?
Roland. Yep, yep. I had to for high school. Yep.
I thought having to read the Scarlet Letter for high school was bad.
I had to read it for 10th grade English. I had to read all 4 books. Yep.
And man, we're over here
Mhm.
making fun of Ronnie's teachers. You had to read Twilight? Holy
Mhm.
shit. No wonder you
Mhm.
turned out as gay as you are.
Screw you. No.
Hey, at least
Um,
I said it to your face and you could fight back.
true. True. But, yeah, so but, uh, I I only knew Robert Pattinson from the Harry from the, Harry Potter films. That was all that I knew him. So, when I heard that he was going to be Batman, I was still skeptical, but I was kinda like, "Okay." Because when it got, announced, it was still, Batfleck, and I was just tired of him. You know, Pilgrim, this is not the Roller Rome cast, okay? Stop. This is actually, a conversation, okay?
Don't get a boner. Don't get a boner.
It's it's not me and Roland making noises for like, 4.5 hours, okay? We're actually having a conversation, all right?
We're actually going in a like somewhat straight direction. We have a little variation. We've pretty much stayed on track this whole time.
Which is why you can now see who is the cause of the chaos on my show.
Oh, no, I know, dude. I've streamed with Roland. I recorded an hour-long video. We were supposed to talk about Bleach plot armor, and dude, the man loves his tangents. I know what it's like. I once had him on with some of my friends. He hijacked the last 40 minutes of the show to talk about Halo with one of my friends who happens to be a Halo fan.
I was literally talking about this because I hired an editor recently, and she's like very, very part time because she's like, in like college. And I was literally talking to like, Pilgrim, and like I I told Pilgrim I would have Roland edit all of my videos, but then, like, I told Pilgrim, and I'm not making this up when I say it, Roland would turn my channel into a Halo channel. I am not kidding. He he would turn my channel into a Halo channel. He would just literally do that.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
Like like he can literally do that on, his own channel, but me, I'm just gonna stick to doing what I do. But
Yep.
yeah, nah, but yeah, so I
And here
think
we are on our Roland tangent. Back to Batman
I'm
casting.
sorry. But so like the thing is, I think they should let Robert Pattinson finish out at least his second movie, and then if they don't want him to be Batman, just cast a new person. But
Yeah, look,
also,
I'm not particularly concerned with whoever they're going to cast for these because I think no matter what Gunn does, I think this DC universe that he's trying to build is DOA. I think it's already dead.
yeah,
Mostly because DC has continued to shoot themselves in the foot as a brand, and the superhero fad is on its way out. I believe a
I
lot of people have
mean,
burnt themselves out on it.
when you cast The Rock as Black Adam and you don't have him lose a fight, which is literally in his contract for every single movie that he's like literally in, that he like cannot lose a fight. Like you kind of have it be that like you kind of shoot yourself in the foot. So yeah,
Yeah, look, I was not as stoked about the Black Adam the Black Adam casting as everyone else was. I think The Rock should not be an actor. I think like as a meme for like a stupid series, sure, but I was not as stoked about The Rock as Black Adam as everyone else on the internet seemed to be.
people were like, he's gonna be a great Black Adam. He's gonna be an awesome Black Adam. And then when like the movie came
Bro isn't
out,
even a mediocre actor. How is he going to be a great Black Adam?
no, see the thing is, The Rock is fine as a wrestler, but he's just not good as an actor.
There is only one role I think that the Rock would actually do really really fucking well as an actor, and that is Brick in a Borderlands movie.
Honestly, yeah, yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
he would do really well as Brick, just because
yeah.
the Brick and the Rock probably share a singular brain cell.
And people want him to be president, bro. Not to like get like, political, but like people want him to run. And it's like crazy to me that like j- just because he has a couple of catchphrases, he is the Rock that insecure. So
It's
he,
probably that big.
I'm not kidding.
He's the
Phil,
Rock, but down there he's the pebble.
you can actually look it up. The Rock has it in his like Hollywood tracks that any character that he plays cannot lose a fist fight. So, yeah, which Black Adam's a villain. So, how are you going to have it be that the villain wins? But he said that he respected the Black Adam character, but then literally did everything that Black Adam would not do. Like, he didn't care about Black Adam. He also was a big part of the reason that James Gunn fired Henry Cavill as well. And that just, pissed me off too. Because, like, Henry Cavill is, like, an incredible actor. And say what you want about the Snyderverse, he was one of the best parts of that. And so that tease at the end of Black Adam where Henry Cavill came to like confront him is like they could have done something with it,
Yeah, but
but
is there any other like Batman topics we feel like getting into here?
mm,
Because I know you mentioned something about the Arkham games that you wanted to talk about when we were setting this up.
yeah, so I just wanted to, cuz I don't really have I mean, there's not really a whole lot to say about the Arkham games, but I wanted to ask you, what do you think is the best Arkham game overall?
That's a
because
difficult question to answer because the only one that I have like an experience that I can like vividly recall is Arkham Knight. And I enjoyed the gameplay of Arkham Knight when I wasn't driving the Batmobile. I always
yeah,
thought it was way more fun to glide around the city and act like a proper vigilante
hmm
than to have to shoot tanks and stuff. But I would have to go back and play the other ones again in order to like really refresh on it. I know a lot of people really like Arkham Asylum. That's like the one that gets all the fucking praise.
Arkham City is my
Or sorry,
favorite.
Arkham City. That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Arkham Asylum was the first one.
yes, and I just think that the Arkham games were perfect because you had Mark Hamill and you had Kevin Conroy.
Hmm.
Like you
Absolutely. God tier gaming right there.
you had peak gaming, and um you also had. Did you ever watch Batman: The Mystery of the Batwoman? Did you ever watch that movie?
I know the movie exists. I have not watched it yet. I have
Oh,
yet to go check
well,
it out.
well, there is a character in that uh in that movie, but her her voice actress, she played Oracle in the first two Arkham games, and then they changed her voice actor for the last two. But uh Pilgrim said those would be the first games I play if when I get into gaming. The Arkham games are just so fun because the way that I always saw them was that you're basically playing Batman you're basically playing the animated series because you have Kevin Conroy and you have Mark Hamill. You're basically playing the animated series. And
They
it's
are
just
the best superhero game you can possibly play.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And they're just so fun. And even though Night has its flaws, I still think it's really fun to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah, Knight's easily the weakest of them, but I still liked playing it. I liked a lot of the DLC, all of the non-vehicle stuff. Very, very fun.
Yeah, but the Jason Todd twist is kind of stupid.
I
Like
saw that coming from a mile away. It
I
was like,
dude,
it was so fucking telegraphed. I'm just sitting there like, okay, okay. Jason Todd, Red Hood, okay, okay.
dude, I was 14 when Night like came out, and as soon as the Arkham Knight dropped down and when he landed like a Robin, I was like, that's Jason Todd. I was like, you know, I'm not stupid. Like and then when they showed throughout the whole game that he knew Batman's that he knew his weaknesses, I was like, they're not really hiding it. Like, it's pretty clear that that's Jason Todd. But the thing that got people mad was that like Rocksteady said that Arkham Knight was gonna be a brand new character, and then he was literally just Jason Todd. And so if you were really going to make the Arkham Knight, you should have just committed to it and have it be that it was like Joker. Just like have it be that he had learned everything about Batman and then he had this ultimate final plan to take Batman down. That would have been so much better than just having it be that it was just Jason Todd that was and then he literally becomes Red Hood 45 minutes later after you beat him. And I was thinking to myself, that really doesn't make any sense. Like you spent the whole game trying to kill Batman, and then you just turn into Red Hood. That really does not make any sense. But yeah. Other than that, though, I think that the Arkham games are spectacular. And if you don't want to read it, if you don't want to read any of the comics, and you don't want to watch any of the shows or watch any of the movies, play the Arkham games. They
All I will say to this is exactly what Roman just said there. Play the Arkham games, you'll understand. I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to ruin the whole plot of it, but it's a really good story overall. It's a pretty great Batman story. Just saying. A lot of detective work, a lot of crime stuff, dealing with the rogues gallery and all that.
I wanted to I wanted to just I guess before we wrap up here, I wanted to ask you, do you by chance know, because I don't really know this, was Batman's detective mode in the Arkham games made just for those games? Because I don't recall him ever having him, or I don't recall him ever having it after or like, before that, having like, detective mode. He doesn't really use it.
What, where it like turns on the like clue
Yeah,
finder stuff. Uh, I
yeah, yeah.
I don't ever. I think that is literally just a feature in the game to help people find clues and stuff to make you feel like you're smart detective kind of thing instead of having to snoop around like
It's
forever to
kind of a
find
cheat
one
code.
letter.
It's kind of a cheat code.
It is the yellow paint on the things that you're supposed to climb. That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah, like, it's it's kinda just like
Well, doesn't it
you
also
have
give you a little bit of like X-ray vision so that you can see things through walls and like track
yeah,
people and all that? So
yeah,
that's kind of a convenient feature for it.
yeah, but then they literally have detective mode be part of the, Batmobile in Arkham Knight. So, like, yeah, but yeah, no, I just wanted to ask because, I'm pretty sure, I mean, there's kinda something similar to it in the Dark Knight, kind of. Remember when he's got, like, that sonar vision? Remember that?
Oh, when he uses all of the other people's phones. I think
Yeah,
that's different though, because that's like using like aggregated information in order to paint a picture. It's not actually
yeah,
pointing out clues to him, it's just giving him a different type of vision.
yeah.
Detective mode is literally like a computer analyzed thing where like it is pointing out specific weak points and all the things you can do. It
You
is
see, kinda back to your broader point, that makes Batman too, like, powered. It's cool for, like, the Arkham games,
well,
but if
it
they
makes him
ever were
seem
to give
dumber
that.
because it takes away the detective part of him.
Yeah, like, he can't figure half of that stuff out without having to have a mode on, but, yeah, no, I mean, that's basically all that I have to say about the, like, Arkham games
Mhm.
and such, but, was there anything else that, like, you wanted to bring up, or.
No, I think we got to everything that I wanted to talk about. Some of the comics I've read that I've really liked. We've gotten through like all the writing stuff, like the no kill rule, the origins, like his role in like DC Comics. We got through, some of the Bob Kane, Bill Finger stuff. I think I've covered everything I wanted to do. I got to nerd out and have a fun conversation about Batman and why Batman is the best superhero ever made, because
Yes,
he is a
sir.
superhero for the average person who saves the average person who is an average person with no superpowers.
Yeah, and, I just wanted to thank you for, having me on, and I hope that this can be I hope that this can be, like, a semi, like, regular thing where, like, we'll
Mhm.
talk about a singular topic, and we'll just kinda broach everything that, like, we can about that topic and just kinda, delve, like, deeper into it, but, yeah, I mean, this is, definitely fun, and I would love to, do this again soon, so, yeah.
Oh yeah, I've certainly enjoyed it. I do want to make this a semi-regular thing because it's been fun. Um, Various topics, obviously. I think it would
If
be
we ever
fun.
got to If we ever did a Lord of the Rings one, I already know that 1, Roland's going to want to be on it, and,
Yes.
uh, 2, it would be 5 hours because Roland cannot stop talking about stuff, so, yeah.
Yeah, I would also try and get Caleb on here because I know he knows a ton about Lord of the Rings. And honestly, I
Mhm,
might try and make that the stream I do for the anniversary of like Tolkien's death or something later in the year.
mhm.
Maybe around the time Rings of Power is supposed to come out, we can all get together and do one of these.
That'd be fun.
Um, but before we close, I do want to try and come up with a name for this. Is I have a couple of ideas. I saw some people propose some stuff to in my initial post. One of my first ideas as far as like this theories being goes was to just find something quick and catchy. But I'm still kicking around ideas. We'll figure out how it goes.
I was
I might
I
just
was
continue
thinking
with go ahead.
I was thinking just calling it delving deeper. Like how like we like, delve into a topic and then we delve deeper within that topic. I was just thinking of calling it delving like, delving deeper, but that might be too like on the nose, but that's something that I was thinking about. I-
Yes, which is why I want to do a stream talking about how great Tolkien is and how shit that series is. Just to shit on the series that decided to shit on the anniversary of Tolkien's death, you know.
you know what, Pilgrim, this is not the rule of Rome cast, okay? Stop.
Bro, you know you did this to yourself by opening up about the three exceptions.
Okay, no, look. Okay, listen. I was a little bit inebriated on, that day, and I
It
was
doesn't
feeling very.
matter. You did this to yourself. You got inebriated and you streamed. You've done that yourself,
Nothing that I've
Lincoln.
said, nothing
Mhm.
that I've said will ever compare to Roland saying that he was literally a pedophile. It got taken out of context, but he literally went, "I'm a pedophile," and like,
I don't know.
and now I
I think this one's pretty bad.
hashtag segregation. I was tricked. Okay, I was tricked into saying that. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, as far as the name goes, I saw someone who is regularly in who regularly shows up in my chats and stuff call it like Series Symposium. I'm not sure I'm a fan of that name. Seems a little too um
I got a recommendation for you.
oh.
Why don't you do a community post poll? Listen to your subs since it's going to be on your
Yep.
channel. See what they want.
That was kind of what I was gonna get at is I might post a couple of other ideas, a couple of the ideas I had, and maybe for now I'll just continue rolling with naming these after um, whatever topic we're doing for the night. But I do want to find a name for the actual streams, so we'll see about that. Otherwise, I thought this was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. And I've been looking
This
to
this
get a
this was
chance to
fun.
just do a whole stream and stuff like this with you on the channel here. So it's been nice. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Thank you, and I hope to be I hope to be back on soon because for the next month there's not going to be any Rolo Rome casts. So yeah, um,
No, it's just the solo Rome cast.
I might do something, but I'm not gonna call it. I'm not gonna call it the Rolo Rome cast. I might kind of just have like a
No, you call it the
gathering,
solo Rome cast.
the solo Rome cast. Um, but yeah, no, I mean,
Bro,
this is
it's a layup. It's a layup.
dude. I should do that. It'd be fun. Um, but but yeah, I mean, this has definitely been fun. And Crimson, I thank you for having me. You have a wonderful community here, and I would love to, get to know them more. And I definitely hope to do this again at some
Mhm.
point. So yeah, man, thank you for
All
having
right.
me.
We're going to sign off now because it's been nearly 3 hours and we've covered everything we wanted to. So thank you to everyone who has joined me. You can find this over here, this lovely gentleman over on his YouTube channel, RG Energy. He has a bunch of others that I'm sure he'll probably direct you to if you go over to his channel. You can find me here, right where I am, on YouTube. I have started a second channel that I am going to be doing all my streams on from here on out. It's Crimson Live. I got to update it. I got to do some work on this channel. This stream did go up on that channel, but there's like literally nothing over there. It just exists with this one stream. And I'm probably going to be streaming on both channels for a while until I can, sort of sort out why my analytics decided they were going to tank. And you can also find me on Twitter. The link is in the description for my channel at Isaac Hendren. You are welcome to go follow me and watch me be a spaz on the fucking internet at all times.
Is that your name?
Yes.
Oh, it's cool. I didn't even know that. It's cool.
Yep. I don't care
It's
who
cool.
knows that. I mean, the link is literally right there. And it's not that hard to figure out who I am.
But
Anyway,
yeah, man. Thank you for having me on.
We're gonna wrap up now. So, actually, hold on. Where is this? We'll go play us out. I pressed the wrong thing.
I was afraid I lost them. All the times that I would waste away, calling out their names, but no one came. But I kept waiting, barely holding on. The world's been fading now.